My chosen torture makes me a streamer. In a life that craves the hunger. A bad game and a quest for life. Until the end of playthrough night.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Bad Game Hall of Fame. I'm Charky. With me here tonight is Johnny Baghead.
Hello.
And Cassidy.
Howdy, howdy.
And we are here to play DmC, Devil May Cry. Oh, that's a good game, you say. Oh, Devil May Cry, I love the game. No. DmC. With a small M and a big D and a big C. Devil May Cry.
That's not going to stop some people out there from claiming that this one here, in fact, is in fact a good game.
Well, we'll see about that. We've got a whole playthrough to get through. Yeah, we're playing the reboot, sort of the Devil May Cry in DmC, released on January 15th, 2013 for Xbox 360 and PS3, January 25th, 2013 on PC, and March 10th, 2015 on Xbox One and PS4 in the form of the Definitive Edition. We will be playing the PC version tonight. It was developed by Ninja Theory and published by Capcom. Yeah, the Western take on Devil May Cry that people were quite upset about. Kind of like from the jump on this one. Y'all, what's y'all's, you know what? I'll ask first. What's y'all's familiarity with the Devil May Cry series? I think Johnny and I have kind of already talked about that a little bit. So just in brief.
In our Devil May Cry 2 playthrough, previously seen on this channel.
So just in very brief, Johnny?
Yeah, started with 2. I don't know how I survived, but I eventually found the good ones. And yeah, this is series that's near and dear to my heart. Still probably the best action series to date. Games you can always go back to. There's so much to discover and enjoy. And it just is such a fun cast and characters.
Cassidy?
Well, my familiarity is a little bit strange with this one. I know the broad beats of 2 through 5 and this game here. The only one I ever played through to completion was the first on PS2 back in the day.
Hey, nice.
But, ultimately, I would consider myself a fan, even if mostly from afar. And I certainly have some opinions, even in my capacity as someone who is not the biggest Devil May Cry fan, who's certainly not as big a fan as either of you two. I'm a fake fan by comparison, but I still got thoughts on the direction they went with for this one in particular.
And for my part, I started with the first one. I'm pretty sure I've played all of them. Yeah, I played all of them. And I remember when this game was announced, and we'll get into, like, in our history section, we got a very extensive history section tonight. Thank you very much, Johnny. But in the announcement for this game, I was one of the few people, I think, who was cautiously optimistic. I feel like I saw what they were doing, and I was like, I'm willing to let them cook. I'm willing to give this a shot. See what direction they take this. The immediate response once the game came out drove me away from, wanting to try it. They're like, Then years and years and years and years later, by the time I'd actually joined Bad Game Hall of Fame, I did end up giving the game a full playthrough, giving it a shot. And I have my own opinions on it now, but those will be more apparent, I think, once we get through the playthrough. We'll let the game speak for itself to some degree. But there's something that I have to speak for, something that can't speak for itself, something that I must give my voice to.
A voice for the voiceless, if you will. Yeah.
And that is Charky Stream Snack. Alright, tonight's Stream Snack is Alani Nu Hawaiian Shaved Ice, the kind of coconut strawberry flavor. And tonight's snack, or food, is, as I'm pulling up the photo of it, Brazzi Bites Brazilian cheese bread, cheddar and parmesan. And it says on here, gluten-free. So some gluten-free bread bites. And how do they taste, you might ask? Well, in my household, at one point in time, we have tried to make bread, and it didn't come out right. Something felt off about it, like texturally, like it was like too heavy. And something tasted about it like it was baked for sure. But it didn't taste like it cooked all the way through still, even though it was absolutely baked. That's kind of what these taste like. And I'm assuming that's the gluten-free doing it.
Yeah, someone who has a gluten allergic sister, yeah, gluten-free bread, unfortunately, is not as good. And that's kind of the taste, yeah.
Yeah, like, the Parmesan is there, the cheddar is technically there, but, yeah, the bread itself, like, this is the only thing they had. They only had this in, gluten-free mode. I wasn't going to try and make, Chad is asking Brazilian cheese bread as in pile de
Adakeo, which is a gluten-free bread that I know Derek from Stop Skeletons from Fighting, while we were writing the Zebo script, they were very much getting into that kind of bread.
I remember them referencing that, yeah.
So, I'll tell you, I don't know, because the front of the packaging just says Brazzi Bites, and I don't have the back of the packaging to expound upon that. So, I do not know. I just know that they're edible, but they would have tasted good with gluten. I don't know. You ever see, like, 100% gluten bread? Like, all gluten?
No, I might.
It's weird looking. It's like, just like an inside-out piece of bread, almost. It is like a skeletal husk of bread. Maybe that would taste actually amazing. I don't know. But hey, Johnny, what are you having tonight?
Yes, so I've got toffee nut latte, and I've got probably the most appropriate snack for a Devil May Cry game. I have takeaway pizza. This is from a local chain, I believe. And we've got two types. We've got, they call it Californian. It's, regular sauce cheese, and then feta cheese, spinach, red onions, maybe something else. And then barbecue chicken, so that's barbecue sauce, chicken, mix some green pepper and some onion again.
All right, oh, is that it?
It's great, yeah. Yeah, pizza's good enough as it is, yeah.
Right. And then, Cassidy, what are you having?
Well, one might say that I'm on my 2-drink arc right now, because I still have to drink through this goddamn Dr. Pepper Blackberry, which the more I drink of it, the more it tastes like melted down gummy snacks, is the predominant flavor note that I get from this. And so to cut that, to wash it down, to actually serve the purpose of boosting my energy level in some capacity, I of course have the Classico Monster Energy Ultraviolet, always there in a pinch.
All right. Well, then, I think that will do it for the stream snack.
Yeah, can I get let me see if I can get a can. Did that come through?
Nope. You got
like the start of it, yeah.
The trick is you got to be talking through the entire can.
Ah, well. I'll get it for next time.
All right. So, all that being said, I think it is time for us to move to the 16:9. Let me go ahead and adjust this so I can actually see our notes. But I believe Johnny will be taking it away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do want to say before we get proper started on this, thank you, Johnny, again, for doing all the research on this one, as I believe you did previously for our Silent Hill Homecoming playthrough. And was there another one that you did prior to that?
Me and Sharky did Devil May Cry 2 together.
Oh, yeah, that would parse, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Anyway, thank you, because usually I toss these things together in about an hour before the show, is the God's honest truth of it. But this one seems like there was a lot of work done here.
Well, I can't work that quick, and also most of this was in the head. I just had to find out, okay, well, when was this said? Who said this? And that's where the time went into this for sure.
Well, very good. And I do want to give you the privilege, the honor of taking it away with our first slide.
All right. Me. In 2001, Capcom released Devil May Cry for the PlayStation 2, the stylish hack-and-slash game directed by Hideki Kamiya. The game originally intended to be a Resident Evil sequel, but spun into an original IP. The game received critical acclaim and quickly became a standard for 3D action games going forward. despite Capcom fumbling the sequel, check out our playthrough of Devil May Cry 2 for the full history breakdown of that game. Under the late development appointed director of Devil May Cry 2, Hideaki Itsuno, probably said that wrong, along with mostly same developer team, managed to turn things around with the even more critically acclaimed Devil May Cry 3, released on the PlayStation 2 in 2005. Devil May Cry 3 is considered to this day by some to be the best in the series, if not the whole genre, and cemented Dante as one of the most popular video game characters with long-term recognition. Devil May Cry 3 and its special edition updated release receiving such high praise and critical acclaim meant it was always going to be a tough act to follow. On January the 31st, 2008, in Japan, and February the 5th to the 8th worldwide, Capcom released Devil May Cry 4 for the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, and later on PC. The first entry to release on multiple console platforms. During the game's 3-year development, a lot of ideas would form, be scrapped, then iterated on, as Capcom and the team struggled to find a solid idea on where to take the series. Seemingly, to meet a deadline, the end result feels rushed, with large amounts of the game being reused content repeated throughout the campaign. While this issue is commonly cited by the fandom, its character work and combat engine are still seen as highlights, considered by some to have the most depth and high skill ceiling in the series. Reception from critics was slightly different, however. Whilst still positively received, a lot of reviews seem to instead cite the bare thread, scrapped together design as issues with the series as a whole, with the series' style and action campiness and writing described as feeling tired and formulaic. Worth noting this critic fandom dissonance for later, it'll be relevant. Regardless, Devil May Cry 4 goes on to sell over 2 million copies in a month, 2.4 million as of September 2009, and eventually would sell over 3 million copies by 2014, making it the fastest selling and highest selling game in the series. And I have this archived link from Capcom's Platinum List title, where they chronologe, they track their games that sell over 1 million sales, so you can see the sales from that. That site is amazing, by the way, just for like historic things, like all the archives. Thank you, people who snapshot that site. However, Capcom oddly saw this as a failure, with Capcom seamlessly expecting 2 to 3 times the sales, despite the typical, 1 to 2 million range entries previously sold. And Capcom Japan not allowing the PC version to be sold in digital storefronts at the time, likely hindering the sales.
It's not Call of Duty numbers. What are we doing here if we're not making Call of Duty numbers?
Yeah. With Hideki Itsuno and his team starting development on the action RPG Dragon's Dogma, and in Capcom's eyes tepid sales of Devil May Cry 4, Capcom decided the series needed a major shake-up. Enter Keiji Inafune, co-creator of Mega Man and longtime Capcom producer. At the time, the Japanese gaming industry was seen as falling behind, having a harder time adapting to the now high-definition standard of 7th generation consoles, as well as slower adoption of the newer hardware and preferred HD TVs of the time by consumers. Inafune had this to say during Tokyo Game Show 2009, and this comes courtesy of Destructoid. Unfortunately, all the archives are broken, so this is reporting by bittech.net. And Sharky is going to play the role of Keiji Inafune.
When I looked around all the different games at the TGS event floor, I said, man, Japan is over. We're done. Our game industry is finished. But just so you all don't think the game industry is finished, Capcom is doing our best. I wanted to have this party and show you there are still some kick-ass games coming out of Japan.
What was Inafune's answer to this? Global appeal and Western outsourcing. Here's more from Inafune from a Capcom press conference from April 2009, as reported on by Eurogamer.
5 years ago, Capcom was at the very bottom of the video game industry, and it was left up to me to think about how we were going to get ourselves out of this pit. At the time, I realized one of the key words we had to focus on was globalization, and being able to sell our games on a global scale, not just Japan, was going to be one of the things that help us out of this pit.
Okay, so This is only slightly infuriating to read. Look, there's been a lot of talk about Japan's role in the games industry post 2000, the perceived slump, reasons given, reasons that you laid out here. You know, the harder time adapting to high definition TVs,
Mhm.
the long standing, you know, like, well, Japanese homes are so small they couldn't afford these big HD TVs, that they couldn't afford the space to put them in there. And, you know, a lot of this stuff is revisionist history. A lot of it is just due to the post bubble economy of Japan, heading like into the late 90s and early 2000s, where their place in the global market, just in terms of like being like tech leaders, was kind of shifting as other countries were starting to modernize and keep and, you know, catch up in tech, and just their economy sort of like bursting in a sense. That's what they call the
Mhm.
bubble. Uh, but man, to see Keiji Inafune just like wholeheartedly swallow that that line and then just pair it here and just be like, man, we're over. We suck. Man,
Yeah.
Japan, we sure don't know how to make games. It's like, what are you talking about, man? You're supposed to be
It,
a representative for
Yeah,
a
is,
that Phil
Japanese
Fit
company.
isn't that right,
Inafune.
Adam Sessler, my best friend? Huh?
Oh no, it's collusion.
Oh, the joke I was gonna make was, isn't that right, Phil Fish, my best friend?
Either works. But yeah, so those lines will make you want to slap the shit out of Keiji Inafune, won't they?
Ah.
Ugh.
I
Well,
mean,
hopefully later on he can redeem himself in this history section.
Oh,
We'll
I'm
see.
sure he will. Yeah,
are those lines making you cry like an anime fan on prom night?
that's later. We'll get to that one.
We'll get
All
to
things
that.
in due time, Sharky. And I'm
Right.
making you play that one too.
Yeah, I know.
All right. By early 2010, under Inafune's Western push, Capcom had been heavily outsourcing development to Western studios, and now it was time to find one to make the next Devil May Cry. Capcom decided on England-based studio Ninja Theory, previously known as Just Add Monsters, who developed Kung Fu Chaos for the original Xbox in 2003. Look that game up. Oh boy, you'll be tugging on your collar till it rips off your entire shirt. Ninja Theory had previously released Heavenly Sword for the PlayStation 3 in 2007, a hack-and-slash game praised for its story and cinematics but criticised for its clunky combat and unstable performance, and were currently on the last stretch of development of Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, that would later release October 2010, a hack-and-slash game praised for its story and cinematography, but criticised for its clunky combat and unstable performance. I know it's a pan. News of this did leak to the press in April 2010. This was originally reported in the Game Informer magazine, with fans a little worried by the news, as the studio, with a history of middling received combat, didn't seem like a great fit for a series lauded for such polished gameplay. Possibly in response to the rumors, Keiji Inafune gave this interview to Videogamer.com in June 2010, discussing the next Devil May Cry. I want to emphasize that this article is titled Devil May Cry 5, but he never says Devil May Cry 5. He just says the next Devil May Cry.
And he says, we don't just want to come at it and just say, oh, it's a popular series, let's make a sequel. We want to say, let's make a sequel that's going to be custom tailored to what the fans want. And on top of that, prove that, again, it's a great game, it's a fun game, it's got a lasting appeal, and it's going to be particularly well liked by the media as well. Who are you trying to convince, Keiji? You or me?
Yeah, so spoilers for this upcoming history section. In retrospect, that was a bold-faced lie. Why Inafune said this when he knew what direction Ninja Theory were told to follow, a decision he was directly a part of, is baffling but a source of hilarity all these years later.
Also, want to say that if you want some more on the origins of Ninja Theory, the previously known as Just Add Monsters, go listen to our history section for Malice. They pop up
Right,
in
yeah,
the
I forgot
course
about
of that story. Kung Fu Chaos et al.
that. On September 2010, at the Tokyo Game Show, DmC or DmC Devil May Cry, it's unclear, both names are reported at the time, was officially unveiled with a pre-rendered trailer. But what fans saw was not the familiar white-haired, red-jacketed, fun-loving, slightly camp, space adventurer, Cobra-inspired protagonist, but an edgy, disheveled, emancipated, almost silent, brooding youngster.
Do you
With
mean
a-
emaciated, by the
Probably.
way?
Yeah. I don't know why I said emancipated. Just making up words for fun.
He's free.
Is that
He was actually very much. If you look at the trailer, he is not free. He is
No,
chained
no,
up
the
somewhere.
opposite, in fact.
Yeah. But yes, so he had mostly black hair with white skunk mark, and I put this in quotations just for the record, emo, undercut haircut, smoking cigarettes and angrily fighting animated porcelain monsters with a mostly unrecognizable arsenal of weapons, while struggling with memories of possibly mental hospital interrogation to an electropunk soundtrack, who at the end, via gravel gargling narration, proclaims, "My name is Dante." And here's the trailer on YouTube if you want to check that out on your own time. To say fan reception was negative is an understatement. The reveal of the stark redesign and tonal change from most of the series was met with widespread vitriol and mockery from the fandom, and even some onlookers familiar with the series. Devil May Cry 4, having ended on a vague cliffhanger, meant fans were eager to see Dante return, as well as new series character Nero expanded on, and his hinted relation to another main cast character fully explored. Instead, they were shown a literally unrecognizable version in Dante's place, with a possible dissociative disorder and vague implication of a new origin story. Regardless of the critical reception of Devil May Cry 4, and at the time mixed reception of new protagonist Nero, fans were not tired or fatigued with the franchise at the point, and a reboot or reimagining of Dante's story was possibly the last thing on their minds.
Now, if I can
Likely...
interject.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to go against fan reaction. As someone who
Yeah.
loved Devil May Cry 4, I actually thought that trailer was cool. When I saw it, I thought like,
Yeah.
okay, I dig this. They're going for something like very different, but I'm willing to let him cook. I thought the part in the trailer where he put out the cigarette on the monster's face and like the screen like starts to store it's like, all right, I'll let him cook. This looks cool.
Yeah. That's totally fair. It was definitely, like I said, it was not it was widespread but not universal.
But yes, it was the we'll get into it, but the hate of that trailer was inescapable.
Yeah. Likely not helped was series creator Hideki Kamiya's flippant response to fan inquiries about his opinion to the reveal, as detailed by this article from Gameplant New Zealand. These are archives of old tweets of Kamiya. Luckily, he didn't block Gameplant New Zealand, I guess, so you'll take it
I'll
away.
read the framing device for this. Whoever the article author is appears to be one James Cullinane. I'll read for him, and you continue to read for Inafune Sharky. In response to a tweet seeking his opinion on Ninja Theory's work thus far, Kamiya, who led development of the series at Capcom, replied,
Whatever.
When a Twitter user said he already misses the old Dante, Kamiya replied,
Oh, I miss him too. I've been sad ever since Dante left me. And then he posted this gif of like just this jerking off motion. And he was like, no, that didn't happen.
An aspect that wasn't helping was Capcom's conflicting and confusing framing of the title in 2010. The words reboot, retelling, and reimagining were often used, but at the same time, Capcom were insisting this was supposed to be a canon origin story to the Dante fans knew from 1 through 4. And we have an interview, again courtesy of Eurogamer. And
this one's
is
conducted
with...
by Keza MacDonald, who appears to interview.
This is Alex Jones, Capcom producer, not who you're thinking of. You'll see him later, trust me.
Yeah, the other Alex Jones shows up later in the story.
No.
So I will read for Keza here. Let's be absolutely clear. Is this a different Dante or the same one we know and love?
We're not going to be definitive about a lot tonight, but one thing we can't be... Not that Alex Jones. Oh.
No, not that one.
We're not going to be definitive about a lot tonight, but one thing we can be definitive about is that this is the same Dante, just younger. We're looking at a retelling of his origin story.
So this is before he started experimenting with peroxide?
Maybe you'll find out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Something quite surprising in this same interview reveals that for all the PR talk of the bold new direction to appeal to Western audiences and giving Ninja Theory the chance to be creative with their vision of Dante, this project was ultimately a cynical attempt to chase after the success of other action titles and reach their sale numbers, And this quote is from Hotohide Eshiro.
And I'll just read for him just
Mhm.
Well, taking Devil May Cry 4 as an example, including the PC versions, we sold 2.7 million of that particular game, but we looked at the market and saw that there were other action games selling 4 million, 5 million, all these copies. One of our goals for this game is to create something new and fresh that keeps the old fans, but also catches new people, so that we can increase our overall appeal, our sales, and our audience.
Well, whatever reaction Capcom were expecting or planning for seemingly was not this bad. Ninja Theory in particular did not seem ready for the fan vitriol Capcom had set them up to receive, and is likely in response to this, Capcom quickly and repeatedly came out to clarify, while the current art direction and style was Ninja Theory, Capcom, and Keiji Inafune specifically, were the ones mandating a dramatic redesign. As told by Capcom VP of Strategic Planning and Business Development, Christian Svensson in an interview with IGN.
The original concepts that came back for Dante were actually extremely close to the Dante that everyone knows and loves. The feedback that came from Keiji Inafune and Hideaki Itsuno was, no guys, this needs to be completely different. We need you to go much further and be more creative. They're much more creative. And literally dozens of potential iterations later became what we as a team felt comfortable and actually happy with.
This did little to quell the fandom's anger, partly not helped by an odd, false narrative presented by Capcom co-producer Alex Jones and much of the gaming media at the time, that fan dissatisfaction with DmC was little more than a superficial obsession with Dante not having white hair, a narrative that survived in coverage of the series well beyond the release of DmC. And yes, this is the X-Play First Look DmC interview with G4,
All right,
thankfully archived on YouTube.
in which Alex Jones.
And to quote Alex Jones,
Mhm.
yeah.
I had like a 4,000 comment thread about why his hair wasn't white when his hair is partially white in the trailer. So that irked me a little. But I like the passion of those guys on those boards. And I'd rather have them talking about us than not talk about us. And I guarantee you that when all's said and done, those guys are going to be happy.
You might think we're being a bit hyperbolic to say that this was a point some of the games media was pushing, but I have some examples. Here's a Eurogamer preview that features 5 direct and indirect references to hair, and this Eurogamer preview we will read out, which directly frames it as the main fan contention.
And let me just get the article up so I can see who wrote it. This is by
Yeah.
Wesley Yin-Poole,
Yep.
former editor-in-chief of Eurogamer, who writes, "The elephant in the room is the hair. Tamim knows it. Everyone knows it. This younger Dante has black hair, the opposite of white. Never before has a video game character's hair caused such controversy. When the game was announced, fans screamed bloody murder. You're ruining Devil May Cry," was one of the more polite complaints. The accusations have continued throughout development, hounding Ninja Theory's design like a dog gnawing at the heel of each and every character artist.
This bizarre, reductive telling of the fan reaction to the redesign is something you'll find in, much of the coverage of DMC, and even later when Devil May Cry 5 was an upcoming release. The reality is, fan criticism was, never so shallow as to be singly focused on hair color alone, but how the character was unrecognizable both visually and personality-wise, and not that even the most basic character-defining feature and symbol of his nature was represented in this new design. You might be wondering, well, why are we covering this? But this represents the overall division between the Devil May Cry fandom and the gaming press at the time. Some publications would end up, playing defense for DMC and Ninja Theory, passive-aggressively, or sometimes just outright aggressively, mocking and deriding the fandom and their love for the series. Capcom themselves, early on, seemed to be egging on this conflict. Again, something Kristen Svensson admitted to, quoting that same IGN interview from 2010.
I will argue that any changes will bring about a knee-jerk reaction from fans. We know that. We knew that going into it. To be fair, I think some of the strategy here was to create that discussion and dialogue, and I think it drastically raises the visibility of the title, versus if we had just done another Dante.
It's probably worth mentioning at this point that there was, Yin-Poole looked back on anti-Japan sentiment in the Western sphere of the video game industry at the time. In the press, developers, even the audience side of the industry, some of this did bleed through to the coverage of DMC and allusions to the idea of Japanese media lacking worldwide appeal or being out of style with its characters and storytelling. This is obviously a very big topic, so we won't be able to fully dive into it here. But just, due diligence, wanted to mention that was a big factor in
And
this.
I'll also address a comment from chat real quick from Vesles,
Yep.
who says, for better or for worse, I have to assume that most of the reporters, most of the journos at the time, just accepted it because they weren't super fans of DMC as a series and just assumed that the fandom was being snobs. Not a justification, of course. And yeah, there's definitely that air about it where these people writing about Devil May Cry authoritatively at this point definitely don't read as like long-term fans of the series. There's a lot of reasons for that. They probably was just like beat writers covering the news. A lot of the people who do preview beat for these outlets, for the likes of an IGN or even a Eurogamer, are not also like the ones who go on to write the reviews for said games, are not necessarily obligate to play all the games in a series. And that's just something of like an internal disconnect that you often get when you have larger teams at your disposal, when you have people who are, very like single task committed. So I would definitely say that is like a failing of the structure of these websites, where people who are not often the best equipped to talk on the history and provenance of a series are left to do like all the preview coverage and the latest like interview snippets and whatnot. And you sort of get that that broadens and widens the disconnect between the community, between the fans of a franchise and the people who are getting paid just to, let you know that the game's coming soon. And again, if Vesles points out, not a justification, and they can't prove it either way. But I would go on to speculate. I would agree that you were probably on the right path with that.
You could definitely find examples. Someone posted an article from a magazine at the time in the Discord, and there's a bit where the person says like, "Oh, recent entries have been stale," and it's like, well, the recent entries are Devil May Cry 3, which is the best reviewed in the franchise, and 4. So, like, what are you talking about, mate? But let's get back to our history at hand. And remember Keiji Inafune's Western outsourcing push at Capcom? Well, by late 2010, this initiative wasn't paying off for Capcom and would only get worse in the years to come. Outside of, standout successes like Devil May Dead Rising 1 and 2, and Resident Evil 5's blockbuster Hollywood lean-in direction, most of Capcom's outsourced titles and Western tonal reboots were failing to meet sales target or high critical reception.
Wait, you're telling me that Western audiences weren't digging on Bionic Commando or Dark Void or Dark Void Zero?
No, unfortunately not. So come November, about 1 month after DMC's reveal, Keiji Inafune announced on his personal blog he was leaving Capcom after working there for 23 years. And we have an archive of that blog, though obviously note this is written in Japanese. But I have got some summarized notes here. Inafune cites frustration with being stuck in a mostly executive role at Capcom and not being able to have as much of a creative role in development as he wanted. One, however, can't help speculate, with his open, cynical opinion of the Japanese game industry and the mixed results Capcom were having at the time, especially with all the Western outsourcing, like Inafune may have assumed Capcom's future was dire and wanted to get out before then. Regardless, it's fair to say Keiji Inafune left Capcom high and dry with the mess he was largely responsible for putting them in. So, what the original DMC story hinted at the Tokyo Game Show reveal and press release, by Gamescom 2011, a large amount of that had actually changed or outright scrapped. Dante, who at this point had been dubbed Dante by the fanbase, had a more...
D-O-N-T-E.
Yeah, with an O, yep. Had a more healthy, well-built physique, less pale skin, less emaciated facial features, and notable character traits like his smoking cigarettes was gone. Something directly noted by developers as passé. While Ninja Theory's storytelling was highlighted and some hints about the final story were being given, previews were now mostly focused on gameplay, with footage now being almost entirely pre-alpha footage of combat encounters, with talking points from Capcom being focused on DMC's collaborative development and series veterans working hand in hand with Ninja Theory, fine-tuning the combat and the game feel. and I have a YouTube link to a Gamescom 2011 interview for more on that. You can check out. This refocus was likely Capcom's efforts to try and, sway opinions of the existing fan base who had been so put off by the DMC reveal and the PR campaign. Regardless of the new audience of millions of non-fans they were trying to court, the existing fan base were always the core market, and Capcom's strategy of causing outrage with them was clearly not working. However, some snide comments about the series' story and writing, and the idea that
Just a
Ninja
little bit
Theory
pleased
were
with yourself,
fixing
ain't ya?
these
And rightly
aspects
so, rightly
was
so.
still being referenced by Capcom and the gaming press. Speaking of, between Gamescom 2011 and an interview with Dengeki PlayStation in October 2011, Capcom had backtracked on the vagueness of DMC's canon and outright confirmed this new entry is a rebooted universe with a new take on Dante instead of the implied connection to the original series Capcom had said, back in 2010. Speculations can in some vary. Maybe Capcom were trying to cool relations with the fan base and distance this version from the original character. Maybe this was done to give Ninja Theory more creative freedom in their interpretation, or possibly this was always the plan, and earlier statements were just straight incorrect, but we don't know for sure. Much of 2012 Capcom's PR continues the trend of trying to win back the fan base they had angered in the first place. Though, you know what they say about first impressions. Capcom had been trying their best to quell fears with the fans that DMC's gameplay and combat wasn't going to live up to the high standards of the series. Something Ninja Theory's games, unfortunately, did not match at the time. In response, Capcom and Ninja Theory had started to emphasize Capcom Japan and specifically Hideki Itsuno and other Devil May Cry series developers were working very closely with Ninja Theory and on the game's combat, such as this April 2016 2012 interview with Silicon Era.
And this is conducted by one Ishan, who I will be reading for here. Something else that Capcom Japan are playing a heavy supervisory role in is in Dante's body animations in DMC, even going as far as giving Ninja Theory guidance on a frame-by-frame basis in order to make sure that Dante maintains a somewhat similar feel to the original Dante in his body language.
Some similar efforts can be found if we quickly jump ahead in time to January 2013 in a Famitsu magazine interview with Capcom Japan around the time of DMC's launch, as reported on by Polygon.
Right here, and there's a link to that Polygon article, and I will read for the Polygon reporter on this. The Capcom project leads also recalled Ninja Theory's initial penchant for concentrating on cool visuals first, then building the world image from there, regardless of whether the gameplay matched well with it or not. They go on to quote Itsuno.
He says, I remember during the first stages of development, one of the illustrations we got for a regular enemy had this huge blade on his right elbow. It was actually on pretty much all the enemies. Apparently the designer really liked putting blades on people's elbows.
And then this next quote comes from Motohide Ishiro.
So we asked how the guy was going to attack with this blade, and the reply was, oh, he doesn't use it much. So we said, no, that's not going to work as a game, and had them rethink it a little bit.
It's fair to say the intent with these press statements, they were trying to reassure fans who thought DMC's gameplay wasn't going to be up to snuff with Ninja Theory at the helm. But while these interviews may have quelled fears with some, in others it was giving the impression Capcom Japan were practically having to babysit Ninja Theory if they needed Capcom to point out how to do combat animations and not put bladed weapons on enemies who don't use them as weapons. But here we go. Perhaps the most obvious sign Capcom knew they had angered their core fanbase and primary market for the new DMC game is this humbling interview with co-producer Alex Jones. This is with Eurogamer on September 25th, 2011. I believe this is with Wesley again. This article is titled Devil May Cry, How Capcom Turned Around Public Opinion. I think that is a very debatable title for 2012. But without further ado.
Right. We thought we'd initially get a little flack. We didn't think we'd get the amount we did, and for the duration we did. It's fair to say that that part was a little surprising. But part of the reason the snapback has been pretty dramatic is the initial sense of, oh my god, his hair's not white, was not really ever about the right hair. It was that we were asking really hardcore fans of the series to accept a ton of changes up front, which is not being done by Japan anymore. At least they didn't know how deeply Japan was going to be involved in it. The fear was never mostly about the white hair. It was about other things. We've addressed those because we knew we had to.
Oh, it was never about the white hair, turns out. Alex would go on to admit, revealing the new Devil May Cry game with just a CGI trailer and no gameplay, especially with a different development team taking over, was a mistake.
That's part and parcel with having enough of the game that you can show it. At first, all we had was a character in a CG trailer. It wasn't gameplay. So you had a statement of, here's the sort of game we want to make, and it had nothing to show how fluid it was going to control and show the variety of combat. Once we started to get enough assets that we could actually show the actual game as opposed to CG versions, that would change it.
These interviews show Capcom was really trying to make an effort to try and win back as much of the original Devil May Cry fanbase they had alienated, even if a rebooted universe and, quote, Western take on Dante was set in stone. Capcom wanted to reassure fans that at least gameplay-wise, Capcom were trying to make a game that would still appeal to them and their love for the series' gameplay, and even a few of the more contentious part of the Dante's redesign. One guy, however, had other things in mind.
And before you hit next slide, Sid in chat says, it was never about the white hair, it was about the white developers. And now move on to the next slide.
Speaking of white developers, meet Tamim Antoniades, founder of and creative director at Ninja Theory.
Oh, I hate this motherfucker. He's
such a good image.
This motherfucker can't even ollie. I guarantee it. I'll put $500 down on that fucking fact.
Isn't that an electric skateboard? Isn't it like an automated thing?
Oh my god, it might be. What's with the fucking trucks on that?
Yeah,
you see the thing underneath of it. I don't think you could ollie in that thing.
So, being a creative director and even lead writer on DmC Devil May Cry, it's not surprising he was the main talking head of Ninja Theory for PR interviews for the game. However, and likely spurred on by the immediate backlash to that Tokyo Game Show 2010 reveal, from the start, Tamim's rhetoric towards the existing fanbase and the series as a whole was negative and dismissive, to say the least. Take these sentiments made in the previously mentioned G4 interview and reiterated on in the September 9th, 2010 interview with 1UP.
All right. He says, the essence of Devil May Cry is all about cool. It's about Dante being cool and making you feel cool when you're playing it. And so the combat and the style system and everything is integral to that. But what was cool 12 years ago? I think that was when the first game came out. And editor's note, bit off.
He's a bit off.
Yeah,
the
first title came out in
2001.
Yeah. Anyway, what was cool 12 years ago isn't cool anymore. If Dante, dressed as he was, walked into any bar outside of Tokyo, he'd get laughed out. What Devil May Cry did when it launched was it brought everything that was great about action cinema, like fashion, music. It was like a cultural melting pot. And I feel like now, for Devil May Cry to have that same impact, it needs to draw on new things. New music, new ways of cinematography, new fashion.
And I'll read the interstitial here. I don't have the author for this article, but showing clear cultural differences, Antoniades, who's based in the UK, places the new game in contrast to Platinum Games' Bayonetta, which was led by original Devil May Cry director Hideki Kamiya and a team in Japan. Asked if he thinks Bayonetta looks cool, Antoniades says,
personally, I don't. I love the game. I think it's awesome. It's taken everything. It's just gone to a total extreme. But in terms of, do I think it's cool? No, not at all. I think it's caricatured and over the top in a very Japanesey, and for that absurd style, it does that really well. But that's not what I want.
I want to say, he should go to Camden, London sometime, if he thinks Dante would not fuck outside of Tokyo. Telling the core fanbase of a Japan-born series you're making a new entry to, that the lead character and style of the series is outdated and not cool, and use the term Japanesey with negative connotations is certainly a bold PR strategy. The initial impression Tamim was giving was he was not much of a fan of the series or your love for it, and you were out of touch for said love. This impression was seemingly encouraged by Gaming Press at the time, with this quote from John Porter, community writer for Bitmob, being the most infamous example.
Read for that. I instead assumed the snarky journalist persona and without thinking asked, "So, how do you feel about the fan reaction to the DMC?" Tameen looked at me for a moment, took a drag of his cigarette. Then, without blinking, without pausing to exhale the smoke from his mouth, he said,
I don't care. Oh, I should have breathed out first. Oh. I don't care.
and neither should any other developer.
Hopefully, these quotes will put you in the frame of mind and the context of the time. The, us versus them mentality some were fostering. We do have to acknowledge this was 2010 to 2013, however. Some of the rhetoric and the vitriol was spewed at Capcom and Ninja Theory, especially, was very toxic. This is an era where death threats were thrown around without much seriousness. Slurs were used as casual pejoratives. Regardless of what DMC was and what Tamim was saying, it was always an unacceptable response. And suffice to say, that toxicity was not, but, it wasn't coming from the entire fandom, so that generation wasn't helping. But I want to make it clear here that there was very toxic reaction to stuff at the time. So you get where some of this anger came from.
Continue.
And then, yep.
Next slide.
I'll hit the next slide. I'm waiting for you to read.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. We would be remiss not to mention that after 2010 Tokyo Game Show's reveal and the interviews, a hilarious conspiracy theory broke out online that this new redesigned Dante was in fact based on and in self-insert of Tamim, as he had a similar facial structure to the original 2010 design, but more the similar black undercut, asymmetrical black hair. This is something Tamim denied. And, it's funny, but it's hard to say if it's actually believed to this day or just people like to make the joke of. My theory is more that he just tried to get in character to get into the mood and the style.
Life imitating the art, art imitating,
like immersing,
imitating his own art.
Yeah.
Unfortunately they had to cut the electric longboard from the game.
Yeah.
So.
Oh shit.
While Tamim was still, involved in PR interviews in 2011, for a time he had seamlessly backed off with the disparaging comments aimed at the series and the fanbase. Though he would still give snide remarks at time, like saying the people who are skeptical secretly want to like it. Maybe he realized, or was informed by higher ups, his comments were causing the entire Ninja Theory to catch heat, with his sentiments, sometimes unfairly being attributed to Ninja Theory as a whole. However, by 2012, he had either just given up or couldn't help himself with some of the statements he made in a 21st March interview in this 2012 edition of the PSM3 magazine. This is issue 150. With I'm just straight up say, audience antagonizing, egging on by the interviewer. I cannot find this magazine, unfortunately, but these are reportings on by computerandvideogames.com. Unfortunately, these are going to be a lot of archive links because of the way it works, so be prepared for that. But here is page 1.
This is writer Daniel Dawkins for PSM3 magazine, attempting to paraphrase the community in some capacity. We're going to read you some pearls of wisdom for the internet, starting with the cryptic, DMC doesn't need a fucking reboot.
The meme responds, nothing needs a reboot unless that reboot works. Look at Batman. The parallel to the Batman reboot was Catwoman. Nobody needed that, but when it works, it can change the course of a franchise in a positive way. It can make it survive.
More internet. They won't have a chance of selling 5 million units.
Usually the worst creative crimes are made when you're trying to make a game for someone else. Some perceived demographic that, in all likelihood, doesn't actually exist. From my point of view, there's only one way to try and make a successful game, and that's to make the game you want to play. A game that everyone involved is proud of. So from that point of view, I don't care if it sells 1,000 units or 2 million units.
Alright, so I want to say here, I think there is, a hint of truth to this statement. that yes, you shouldn't be making for a perceived demographic. It is obviously highly ironic because this game was greenlit specifically to appeal to a perceived demographic. And
Do you think Capcom Japan read that and were like, uh-oh?
Yeah, also, yeah, it's like, ideally, you make video games, you shouldn't care about how many you sell. You should care about making what you think is the best game. But obviously, considering Capcom already came out and said we want to increase the sale of the series and appeal the series, and also just the audience pertinent to care about sales number, that last quote in particular got a lot of mockery of just like, well, yeah, guess what? You're not going to get 2 million sales. But so it's, the tone of it is more what was riling people up. That being said, funny enough, at times, to memes, comments, and analysts can be quite observant and diplomatic. In stark contrast, actually, to an earlier quote a few months ago when he said, quote...
Well, he doesn't... I guess Sharky should probably read for this.
Oh, yeah, if you read this quote.
Sure. While he doesn't look the same as he did in other games, he's still going to be killing demons and shit, so the controversy over his appearance is baffling to me.
I love that quote. But, we'll highlight another exchange. This is from page 2 of that ESM3 interview.
Did you decide at the outset to ignore the vocal minority, people who often sound more informed than they are?
Are we sure he didn't interview himself? Just throwing that out there. Anyway, he says, when we announced the game, all we released was a trailer and a 2D portrait art of Dante. That's when the bulk of the criticism came in. We hadn't actually demonstrated any in-game video at all. So a lot of that's just hot air at that point. You can't steer the game project based on that. People form a relationship with a series, and if that gets broken or bastardized, people get upset. That's understandable. So I don't dismiss it. We've all been there. The new Star Wars stuff, it's changed a lot, but not added anything. I think we've added stuff. We've added interesting things to the series that you wouldn't have got from Capcom Japan. If we do our jobs right, you'll get a good, fun game with interesting angles that bring something fresh to DmC.
I want to read some comments from chat real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just commenting on things that we've been reading out loud. Sid points out that, you shoot aliens in Halo, so fans of Space Invaders should still be on board in terms of just... and then there's been some people making fun of the idea that Tamim wrote his own interview questions. How do you handle being so cool and awesome, says Joda Real. Bron Bronwyn says, Mr. Burns, your campaign seems to have the momentum of a runaway freight train. Why are you so popular?
Ooh, a tough question, but a fair one. All right, well, and probably not helping that conspiracy. That being said, the same interview contains probably Tamim's most disrespectful and backhanded insult about the series, and just unsavory comments in general. This is from page 3 of the interview.
Have you binned all the character archetypes from earlier DMCs? Dare we say it? The massive tits.
If it's true that the average console gamer is over 30, which I totally believe, then you can't use those cheap tricks to titillate people into wanting to buy your game. I've nothing against big tits. I'd rather have my head resting on a pair right now. But if you're going to try and stimulate someone on different levels, there's better ways to do it. If you look at the stars in movies, the women people find really attractive are often not the ones with the biggest tits. You've got to be attractive on a different level. I'm what they call a sapiosexual, you see. My philosophy is... we did that in Enslaved, another Ninja Theory game, with Trip. People loved her, not because she had big breasts and high heels, but because she felt like someone who could be your girlfriend. That, to me, is more attractive than a prostitute walking around with a big gun. Not to demean prostitutes. It's a valid form of commerce.
Oh, phew, glad he saved it with that comment at the end. He really tied the whole thing together. I'm going to scream.
Yeah. It's undeniable, though. Mostly recent entry of Devil May Cry 4. If you've seen the cutscenes.
I'm sorry. I want to confirm to chat real quick. The only part of that I ad-libbed and made up was the sapiosexual thing. Everything else was out of his mouth.
Yeah. But, Devil May Cry 4, if you've ever seen those cutscenes and some of the designs, the phrase I used is quite horny on main. But to paint that as representing the entire series as a whole, and to reduce the 2 series female recurring characters, badass demon hunters on the same level of capacity and power as the playable main leads, to quote, prostitutes walking around with a big gun, while also cheekily pretending to not disparage set workers is gross. In fact, I had like 10 different edits because I couldn't figure out how to sum up my opinion of that statement without just writing cuss words over and over, so I've gone with gross. It's also rich in hindsight if you consider DMC's one female lead, Cat, is about as revealing and cleavaged as the character Lady was in Devil May Cry 4, but she has a very different passive characterization that you'll see later on.
I want to say, not to get too ahead of and not to get into the contents of the game, but
Yeah,
if they're
minor hint
complaining
there.
about, the characters, the female characters in previous games, this is one of the most misogynistic video games to ever fucking exist. This DMC Devil May Cry. Like, for
Yeah, that's
everything
what I
I
was hinting.
remember, this is one of the worst written video games of all time, and especially the way they write female characters. I think the first fucking minute of the game has one of the worst lines I've ever fucking heard in a video game. And it comes from the
Yeah.
mouth of a lady who is, and I don't mean to be crass here, but is literally just a sex object. Who her entire characterization is to be a sex object for the fucking main antagonist.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the fuck this guy is smoking, who he's trying to fool, if he's trying to fool himself, but anger is the
Yeah.
predominant emotion I'm feeling right now. Just knowing how fucking bullshit all of this is.
Johnny, was
And,
this
yeah,
the
just to
guy?
be clear, the fucking characters, of Lady and Trish are fucking great characters. They're actually, pretty decently written, especially for the time. They are clearly very capable characters who even if they can't stand necessarily toe to toe with Dante and they sort of fall into sidekick roles past a certain point, it's still very clear that they're still very cool. They are meant to be respected within the story, that they're the only people that Dante trusts, and that their relationship with Dante is not overtly sexual ever. They almost never play up that angle, which is why you have so much fan theory, fanon that Dante is in some capacity asexual and just doesn't care because he's sexual for pizza. That's about it.
Yeah, I agree with that theory. Johnny, wasn't to me someone that you wanted to reach out to ask questions, or was that someone else?
I wanted to reach out, but I was like, well, Tamim would know the most, but also I don't think he would answer back if he knew, because I didn't want to bamboozle the guy and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna cover your game. Do you have some facts? And then well, just a heads up, I'm gonna quote you in the time you talked about big boobs and prostitutes. So
And,
I did
comment
not
from
reach out.
chat. Yeah. I also want to read a comment from chat. Strawbros Morgan says, I love the Orientalism of being like, those Japanese love their big boobs. It's so immature. And then go, oh, I would love some big boobs right now. Of course, I'm not gay or anything.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, no, this was a time, to be sure. So, DMC Devil May Cry, stupid name, have to point out. Surprised we haven't said that yet. Launched on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 worldwide on January the 15th, 2013, and January 25th, but 2013 on PC. The game received, actually vastly positive reviews from critics, though not that surprising, given how smitten most were with Ninja Theory in their past games, and, how defensive they had been of their reinvention under Capcom's desire for a Western hit.
So we're just going to take turns reading some review snippets here. I'll go first. I'll read for Richard Walker, he of Xbox Achievements, who writes, a bright new beginning for Dante. Ninja Theory's DMC is a triumph and a positive first step towards things to come. Capcom's most successful collaboration with a Western studio to date, DMC is also Ninja Theory's finest game. Sensational.
Luke Albiges of X1 Magazine UK says, read it in weep, haters. The game itself is categorically excellent, and even if it isn't quite what you might expect from something labeled Devil May Cry, this is a robust, deep, and brilliantly executed action game. Not to mention a sterling effort at reinventing something that was, if DMC4 was anything to go by, beginning to grow stale.
All right, and last we have Timur Hassar from Computer Video Games UK. Is it in a H at the end?
I would read that as Timur Hussein.
I think your cursor covering over it makes it look
the
like an
cursor's
H.
covering, so I can't tell.
Anyway, just read the quote from CPG
It is Hussein,
UK.
yes. DmC is a superb reboot that delivers on all fronts and does it with a palumph. Fancy word here. For the first time in ages, we're excited to see where Devil May Cry goes next. You might have noticed there's a theme with the quotes I picked there about the future of the series. There were, however, a handful of mixed reviews that landed on the lower end of the game's critical reception. These were 7 out of 10s,
By the way,
according to Metacritic.
Johnny, I hate to call you out a second time, but aplomb.
I don't know what that word is.
Penchant earlier, so we're none of us are perfect here, folks. Right. We do an hour of reading before we play the video game at the top of the show.
Yeah,
and we do it live, folks. That's a quote from the game, by the way. Speaking of quotes, this is a quote from Chris Adam DeAngelis, he of worthplaying.com. DmC Devil May Cry is a hard game to judge. On its own, without any preconceptions based on the franchise, it's a serviceable, if unexceptional, action title. It's a good way to waste an afternoon or an ideal rental. It is, however, a poor Devil May Cry game.
And the unknown author, hidden in the shadows of Hyper Magazine, wrote, scrawled onto a wall in graffiti, flawed, and the new Dante isn't as cool as he thinks, but the gameplay is as sterling as ever. There's plenty to love, but fans will be divided.
Yeah, I did try and track down that magazine. I know it's Australian, but unfortunately I could not find it. But how was fan reception, you ask? Far more mixed, we'll say. Some had, written off the game immediately, having no interest in a new interpretation of Dante's backstory, or maybe had been put off by a demo released in November 2012, which was very unpolished and buggy. But some did give the final product but found Dante and the rest of his cast to be unlikable. The story tropey, shallow, problematic, as we've hinted at. And the combat, while impressive and far improved from Ninja Theory's past output, less satisfying, a bit more casual than previous entries, lacking a lot of the nuances fans wanted, and having various mechanics limiting the player expression, a core aspect of the series. And hardcore fans specifically lamenting that only the PC version targeted 60 frames per second, as the console versions capped out at 30. The general consensus being DmC would be a decent, stylish action game if it had not tried to take the place of the series, and most of its ties and elements of the series invite negative comparisons. It's quite clear to say, while some dividing opinions have always existed between the gaming press and the audience, DmC Devil May Cry was an extreme split of reception not seen since the likes of God Hand, released on PlayStation 2 in 2006, with its critical reception, most infamously, of course, the 3 out of 10 IGN review. But this I see as like a landmark release of just, there was no dissonance between like how it was reviewed and the audience until this. But that's where our story ends for now. We have to actually see the game. Does it hold up? Is Dante cool?
The history
we have
ends
a whole other
and the game begins.
Half.
Yes.
We have a whole other half of that article. That was only the halfway point, but we're going to save all the post-release stuff for when we finish the playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
So once we finish playing the game and give our final thoughts on it, then we'll pick back up with the rest of the history to come, to follow, see where all the major players land, and whatever happened in that Ninja Theory, they still around?
Yeah.
Is that Capcom still around? I know they were the bottom of the industry according to fucking Inafune. So did they ever come back? God, I hope so.
Yeah, no, DmC is, its story far survives longer than even the game itself, so do be sure to tune into that.
And before we start, just to be clear on what we're doing here, we have the Xbox 360 box art up. We will be playing the PC version, though, which is the same as the original release, so it doesn't have any of the improvements in the later definitive editions, but it does have some graphical improvements and some performance improvements. So this will be at 60 frames per second, and will have some higher definition graphics than Xbox 360 or PS3 had.
Will we get into any of the differences between the definitive edition and this? Are any of you versed enough to know? Like,
yeah.
Okay,
I'll say we probably not the first episode, because we should probably let the game speak for itself to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But later down the line, as we
maybe just the
get deeper.
cutscene stuff, not gameplay. Yeah.
All right, so are we ready to begin?
As ready as we'll ever be. And I do
Alright.
want to thank Vesles, who cheered 510 bits and said, "How dare you trick us when you put that sapiosexual quote into Meme's mouth?"
If I knew lying could get me $5, I'd do it more often.
Shit, I'll start lying all the time.
All right, intro here is going to be very loud, and then it'll settle down.
Y'all excited for this one? I'm excited to get this one done, dusted. I'm excited to... Every year when we post for the birthday post for this game, and it's just the same comments over and over again, the same fucking discourse, I always just wanted to have, like, a video or an article we could link to say, like, here's our thoughts on it, here's our explanation. So finally having that in the back pocket will be a great boon.
All right, so first thing we're going to do is adjust some volume here, so the game will go away for a second. Okay. A little weird how they frame, like, getting into the game when you start
Yeah,
it.
it's like they're different executables, which doesn't make any sense.
So it's asking me, do I want to play the game or the DLC? We'll do the DLC, not first.
We will get to it.
5 save slots, which I really appreciate. We're going to start fresh. Oh, the Samurai Weapon Pack is creating me 3 extra points to spend on upgrades to my choice. We'll get to
They spoil us.
what that means. Just want to double check. Yep, because volume options are different between saves.
We're gonna lower the music just to avoid. There is some licensed music in this.
I think, like, the
as well as
first
some original
level.
stuff. A lot of Combi Christ in the soundtrack, and I think the other band is Noisia.
Noisia, yes.
This should be fine spread, right?
But
Yeah, it's as
not
good as we're gonna get.
licensed music, like specifically composed for the series.
Isn't it a mix? Well, either way, I think probably some of these songs are in the YouTube copyright system. So, you know, we're trying here, folks. Cut
Yeah.
us some slack. It'll be loud enough.
All right, it will be loud. All right. We're just going to go with Devil Hunter difficulty, just normal to start with. But let's look at this while we're here, because I have the options for them. Since I have all the DLC, we have the skins. We got our standard Dante. We have our Apology Dante.
Yeah, I believe this was a pre-order bonus or
Yeah.
like something like that.
They want to go fine here. We have Dark Dante and Neo Dante. Dante without
just-
a jacket.
it's just him without the jacket, yeah.
We're just gonna do normal. And then I don't know where these bonuses came from, but I'm gonna keep them on. Like, more orbs, sure. It's not like orbs do me much good in this game in particular. And item finder just to make that easier.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Would you like to see tutorial messages? Yes, please.
I have so many thoughts on this intro alone. It's going to be hard to stifle a lot of my thoughts.
Mhm.
But we'll have to give it up for the worst line ever written and performed in a video game, which I think is, like, right out the gate.
Yes, by close of trading Friday. No, you can't have more time. You know the terms, you know the consequences. No, this is not a veiled threat. This is a direct one. Should you fail to comply, the collapse of the economy will be on your head. I will make sure that you are stripped of power, shamed, and hated. Is that clear enough for you? Well, Friday it is then. You have a good night, Mr. President.
Metal Gear Solid Sting.
Did you get it, my darling?
Over $1 trillion.
Oh,
Soon I will own everything worth owning. I will control the world through debt. I have absolute power.
the world is at last your bitch, as am I.
I hate it.
What's the matter? What's the matter?
A loose end.
A loose end, what?
The son of the traitor Sparta. Dante.
Him.
He's still out there.
The hunters will find him. They found Sparta and his whore. And when they do...
I will rip open his chest with my bare hands and feast on his beating heart.
Told you that was one of the worst fucking lines of all time.
I don't remember her name, but there's an interview with the actress who played that female character where she describes the writing as almost Shakespearean.
You need to find that. I don't care if it's
Yeah.
late. You need to find that.
Yeah, yeah.
This is where some of the combi Christ starts to kick in.
Yes, this is Combi Christ. Yeah.
So we just need to kind
I've
of
heard,
talk a bit.
I've heard, yeah, yeah. I've heard some Combi Christ, and they do seem like a band I'd like, but I'm told that this is not their best work.
No, he sounds so bored to be singing this song. There's just
Yeah.
a way he delivers like one of the lines. This poison air filled with lies. He just sounds like he gets bored midway through the fucking line.
Yeah.
And that doesn't sell industrial to me, personally.
Oh, yeah, here's the video for you, Cass. Another time code, but it's definitely this video.
I'll link that and put it somewhere in the doc so I can put it after the to be continued, so I remember to put it in the description as well.
So you remember that old Dante?
Yeah.
Our Dante fucks. He drinks. He does the Smack My Bitch Up music video.
He hates pizza.
He's so cool. Actually, no, he does have pizza still. It's the one universal truth that, regardless, we all love pizza. Like, granted, if you wanted to get across that this is a very different take on the character, this is the way. It's just, it's so fucking lame.
Open with fucking.
Yeah. It's like
Got a
people who
case of the
think,
not gays, as they say.
Yeah. It's like people who think the like the sex mini games in God of War are like the coolest thing in the series.
The demons have been increasing their power for millennia. They're on the verge of controlling mankind. Citizens, we've been kept asleep in a manufactured illusion for too long. We must wake up.
Remember Anonymous? Remember 4chan? Remember
Remember
the
V for-
2000s?
Remember V for Vendetta?
Remember Bill O'Reilly?
Order. Now this group has claimed responsibility for several serious attacks in recent weeks. He is undoubtedly a traitor and a terrorist.
Oh my god, he has Combi Christ posters on his fucking wall, tour posters.
One way to do it. Illegally shoot the son of a bitch. This is Bob Barbas, just doing God's work.
Dante, get out of there! You're in danger!
Who are you? What do you want?
You were careless. You left a trail. Now he's on to you.
What are you talking about? Who's on to me?
The hunter demon.
Yeah, showing boobs is lame.
Also, how did... I know this is like the least important point, but how did Dante park his fucking mobile home at the end of a populated boardwalk?
Demons.
How is he allowed to do that? How is he not getting towed?
You're gonna have to fight your way.
I feel like if you can manage to put your trailer in like somewhere inconvenient enough, it's just gonna sit there. Like no one's gonna bother. Like, well, this is gonna be a pain in the ass to get out of here. Just
Yeah,
leave it.
there's a lot about this world that does. It's confusing how it functions.
Shit. Back in limbo. Bad. Get your filthy fucking claw off my trailer.
Remember Austin Powers? Remember comedy movies in the
I get what they're
2000s?
going for because this seems more like a Devil May Cry 3 or 5 cutscene. It's just weird with the like it's such a tonal shift.
I would
to
have
go
liked
that
it
goofy.
if the entirety of the game though was like continuously trying to hide his dick. Like, he never put pants on,
Yeah.
so things would
yeah.
have to keep happening.
Oh, if only I got Hideo Kojima to work on this.
Also, he's flowing in the breeze. He's not wearing underwear. He's free balling throughout this playthrough.
Yeah, Commando.
Rebellion. You want to fight? Let's go.
And so it begins.
So, a little different from other DmC games in like a number of different ways. One of the major ones here is that, like DMC2, there's a dedicated dodge button.
Yes.
Slime is saying that, I don't know if it's just them, but the game is a bit quieter compared to all our voices. Did you level it the way I told you to?
It's leveled like this.
Put it music up 2 notches, and sound effects max it out,
Yeah,
and then hopefully...
okay.
Unfortunately, this game does the thing where
And
if there's
while I have it
dialogue
paused,
cutscenes, it's quiet.
while I have it paused, chat's gonna get moved up a little bit.
But yeah, the mixing in this is very... It's very like modern Hollywood, where it's like, oh yeah, when people are just talking to each other, it's quiet. And then as soon as action starts, it blows your ears out.
Yes.
And you can't really fix that because the audio is all mixed as one channel in the options. And
Anyway.
yeah, this song is probably copyrighted, as I'm Headful mentioned.
That's
yeah.
whatever at this point.
Yeah.
Whatever happens,
here's,
happens.
And here's the other difference is...
Right, so dedicated dodge button and dedicated launcher button, because usually in these games, back and attack is your launch. That is not the case here, because you can't lock onto enemies either.
That's the key thing. There's no lock on, so there's no way to do directional. Well, outside of 1, there's no way to really do directional inputs. So they give you a second button that kind of replaces what would be the style button from 3 and 4.
Playing enemies release white orbs to fill Dante upgrade bar. That's another difference. You collect red orbs, which are, you know, serious staple, but white orbs will give you the ability to upgrade your moves and shit.
It's kind of like the Proud Souls. Yeah.
Kind of like Proud Souls, but not really. There's a key difference. Because you can see that 3 in the corner there, and that's kind of filling up with that white stuff. You don't earn like Proud Souls that you spend like, oh, I'm going to spend 3,000 Proud Souls on this, I'm going to spend 4,000 on this. No, you earn singular points. We'll see more of that a little bit further in the level.
I just want to say, you know, this soundtrack is, it's a soundtrack. I'm not the biggest Combi Christ fan, one might say. But at least like they're trying to do something hard, but a game that did this soundtrack better, that went with an aggro, mostly licensed real band soundtrack, a game I always have to shout out, fucking Splatterhouse 2010, which, you know, was brave enough to put Goat Whore on, and Municipal Waste, and Lamb of God, and Mastodon.
And I'll say, you know, because Tamim's whole thing was about like, oh, we're doing like current pop culture idea, like Core Energy and things like that. I don't think that was Combi Christ in 2013, personally. That's nothing against the band, just I don't think this was... We'll get into it more, but I get the whatever subculture they were going for here does not feel 2013.
Target
Feels like
right on cue.
93, maybe. More. There they are, Ebony and Ivory.
Oh, I figured it out. Don't worry, game.
Yeah. And yeah,
it's like
Dante...
DMC2 all over again.
A little bit. The rate he can fire these guns at is wild in this game.
I didn't catch it. Is this tapping or is it holding down to
I'm
auto
tapping.
fire?
It's tapping, but I think like every tap does like multiple shots. So that's why it looks so rapid fire. You don't have to like mash the button that hard, I think. Which, granted, you know, like don't put that force mashing in your games. It's not great for accessibility. It looks a bit goofy how quick it is. It looks like a mod or something to me. Oh, Submit Land. You see that? It's not Funland. It's Submit Land, where you go to spend money.
Submit to Debt-land.
Yeah. Have you guys seen They Live?
We'll get
You guys
into
remember
it.
They Live?
We'll get into it, but there are parts of what they're doing with like the words and shit that look both cool and lame as hell.
My name's Kat. I'm not a demon. I'm still in the real world. You're in limbo.
How come I can see you clearly?
I'm a medium, a psychic. I can phase into limbo and communicate with you. I can see you, talk to you, but I'm not actually in limbo with you.
If I pull the trigger?
I'll die. I'm risking my life here for you. I want to help.
I feel like if I was in the real world and I saw Kat doing that, I would at least like look over and go like, what?
You into limbo.
You okay, lady?
Get you out.
I've been down here before. I know how to get out. You fight whatever shit-sucking demon dragged you in here.
You don't want to fight the hunter. He's not your regular demon. Follow me.
He's not like the other girls.
Sid asking in chat, why does he even ask that? So the audience knows.
Yeah, it's exposition.
Yeah,
half this
it's
game's
just-
dialogue is exposition, the other half is swearing.
Yeah.
Was that to say something nice? That was to say something
Yes,
nice.
it was by Bronwyn.
All right, well, I'll say it again. I think some of the ways that the environment like changes on the fly, with like things crumpling around you, with words changing on signs and stuff, kind of dynamically. I think it is cool. I think they do it to some lame ends, but I think the visual effect is cool.
Yeah. Like outside of some of the tone of things, like just visually, I do think this game is like phenomenally from an art direction. Like the kind of like dark Alice in Wonderland look at this game when you're in limbo. Like it is really cool. Especially, you play this PC version or Definitive Edition, it's very pretty. They do rely a bit too much on the orangey blue tonal thing. Like the high contrast alternative colors, but it is just...
Oh dear.
At least visually, it's a great game to look at.
And I think something they have like set pieces where the levels are reacting dynamically in like real time. Like, the walls literally close in on you at points.
I wouldn't say dynamically. They are very
They are
scripted.
scripted, yeah.
But we'll see
I mean,
that.
dynamically is that you're like triggering stuff, you're walking forward, and it's happening in real time as you're progressing.
Which was like a big thing they were pushing with this game, was to have that environmental stuff. It's even in the reveal trailer to a degree.
How about you? No? You want to do it? No? How about
Can
here?
you knock people into the environment? There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Though I'll point out, it barely comes up after this. You can knock some enemies off levels, but they don't really have they don't have like traps or things like this that much in the game. I think
That seems like it'd be like something that would be really novel to add to a character action game, to a stylish action game at all, whatever you want to call it.
Oh yeah, that Mad World kind of experiments with that.
Like stylish action by way of like a bullet storm, where everything is just like a trap you can kick people into.
Bars full, that's your upgrade point. Yep. Go ahead, give me another tutorial tip about it. Sure. All right.
This is right at the start, so I'm not gonna get too hung up on about it. And it was optional, as you saw at the start. It prompted you, do you want to see the tutorial messages? But they prompt you at the worst possible times in this game.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the worst of it, but we'll start seeing it happen like mid-combat.
Oh, it said hold to jump higher. I accidentally figured out how to double jump. There we go. I'm ahead of the game.
Also, I just wanted to confirm, it looks like the bitrate's mostly holding up for this, in case you were curious. I'm restreaming this looking, because this seems like a game that would like fuck with bitrate.
Wait,
yes,
what? Wait, stop. What's this tutorial tip? Gold orb can be used upon death to resurrect Virgil. That's great.
Virgil?
I'm
Who's
Dante.
Yeah.
Who? What?
Oops. Yeah.
Well, good for Virgil, I guess, but...
Yeah.
Don't do shit for us.
Oh, it's the zapping system from Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, finally. Another game that finally leverages it. Thanks, Capcom.
Oh, come here.
Yeah, no, and unfortunately, this PC version, especially for the time, decent. Did not get all the updates at that that PS4 X-Bone version that we'll get into later.
If you want to play the original balancing of this game, the original vision of it, this is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
All right, let's.
This is the version of the game that most people played. That was people's first impression of this game.
All those like 10 out of 10 reviews were based on this version.
All
And I
right.
think that's important. And, you know, whenever we do games on the Bad Game Hall of Fame, I usually prefer to do like the version 1.0
So-
if ever possible.
Yeah.
So, Johnny, do you want to get into your spiel about why you don't like
Yes.
this particular upgrade system?
Yeah, so Devil May Cry, if you've ever played one, when you get to the first upgrade, you'll notice that different moves cost different things. And one thing that's very common is some moves, like Stinner here, will be very cheap. They'll be like 100 orbs, like way above, like way below what you would have when you get to the first upgrade. And the reason why is it is a system to to give new players like guidance on what to get. It's like, oh, we're giving you like all these options, you might be overwhelmed. We'll just get the cheapest stuff because it's the stuff that's best to start with. But obviously, you have the choice. You could just ignore that and save up for other upgrades. You know, if you want stuff that's more complicated, a bit more nuanced, like the enemy step mechanic to jump off enemies. That's generally like quite expensive. This is something Hideki Sano even talked about in PR interviews. But this game, they cost the same. Everything costs the same. So you don't have any indication in the game like what moves are, at least the designers consider, the most required. Like, oh, what upgrades would the game recommend? None. Doesn't recommend anything.
Yep. Something I do like is the ability for each one of these moves to just immediately and honestly, like, quickly jump into a training mode and go like, okay, what's this move like?
Yeah, it's Bayonetta did it, and it's not criticism. It's a good thing. Like, this game cribs a lot from Bayonetta, and it cribs good stuff. It's all good. I'll be the first to point out that no, they cribbed it from Bayonetta. It's not original, but it's good stuff they cribbed.
All right, so those red orbs.
Sin Chat says, I thought Tamim didn't like Bayonetta. They didn't like Bayonetta as a character. They thought the game was fine, which is why they ripped so much shit from it.
So red orbs, by the way, that's all for item stuff. So I'm really just going to be saving that for like permanent upgrades.
Yeah, just like Devil May Cry 4.
Anything hidden around here?
Yeah, Fasca also mentioning that, like, lock-on was considered dated, kind of. That even happened Devil May Cry 5, like, when that was coming out, you would even find some interviews where people were like, why do you have to lock on the dodge? That's so weird. It's like, haven't you ever played a 3D Zelda game? Like, that's how those have all played, and no one complains.
How did it get up there?
There we go.
Sweet.
Now he's complete.
Yeah, that's the cool Dante, you know.
We go live to our eye in the sky. Steve, I can't believe what I'm seeing.
That looks so fun. I wish I was on it.
Yeah. So that shows a point well building thing that some stuff that happens in this quote limbo world can affect the real world. But it opens up the question of why only that Ferris wheel?
Why there's nothing else? Seeing Dante running around shooting stuff? Is he not just like shooting into the air?
No, Dante is straight up in limbo right now. He is in the other world. But things in the other world can affect the real world.
Yeah.
Like that Ferris wheel. But a lot of other stuff gets fucked up.
And it's fine, it doesn't affect it. It's very arbitrary. I remember specifically talking to someone online years ago.
Oh, damn.
Where they said, oh, one thing that they liked about this game is it has world building. And I pointed out, yeah, but it's not very good world building. And they were like, yeah, well, I'm not talking about if it was good or not. I'm saying it's good it had any.
It is good that it exists, regardless of whether or not it's good or bad.
That's not how that works.
What's important is that they tried.
It's good that it has voice acting. It may suck, but, you know, they have it in there. Voice acting is mostly fine. You can criticize the performance, but, you know, at least they're enthused. It's mic'd properly.
I was in the middle of doing that game.
Legit, if you had pressed evade, like when that prompt had come up, you probably would have got hit.
Through here.
Oh, they've got Capcom games on the arcade machines. I just realized.
I missed it.
I think it was Street Fighter 2 was on one of them. Oh, I'm fine with that. You got the IP, leverage it.
Hello.
Oh yeah, this weird Tim Burton corridor.
Oh shit!
Wait, is it? No, it's not Tim Burton. What's the what's
Johnny
the
Vasquez?
other like? Probably
William Castle.
Yeah,
Is there a thing here?
it's another movie that's very Tim Burton-y I'm thinking of. It's like not Charlotte's Web, but like a similar title to that.
Coraline? Wait, I hear something.
Yes, Fakey Chalky. Yeah, you do. Oh, well.
Whoops. I might have missed the chances for it.
My demon has no nose. How does he smell?
Terrible.
Oh!
Get back here.
Oh wait, maybe I didn't miss my chance. Ah. Use the copy.
Through the door, perhaps. Let's welcome chaos.
Secret missions. They're back.
Yeah,
Enemies only
Fatscout
take
in
damage
chat.
during the air. Okay,
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah, Fat Scout mentioning that massive, oh
I'm
yes,
doing so
here we
much
go.
damage in the air here. Okay. I love this.
Is this quick
Let's
enough?
discuss this first. So,
Alright, let's actually...
yeah, so DmC Devil May Cry, and it's not in the history doc, but you can find quotes from like Randy Tucker, the main combat designer, about how they wanted to make a game that like it looks like Devil May Cry, but it plays a lot easier, so an average player can do combos that look like the mad combo videos you'd see on YouTube. And one of those aspects is they make just a lot of the inputs very easy, like timing, hitboxes, things like that. And there's a mechanic in Devil May Cry called Enemy Step, where you can jump off of enemies' hitboxes. I'm trying to explain this like as layman as I can, because it's kind of a weird concept. But you do it to reset your in-air actions. So if you have a move you can only do once in the air, you do it once, you jump off an enemy, then you can do it again. And in Devil May Cry, that means you can do stuff like the dive kick, and then you jump off the enemy while you hit them, dive kick again, and you can do some really out there, stylish looking combos, like by cancelling the jump into moves and then cancelling it again. And as I'm sure Charky will showcase a lot of times, it's very easy to do in this one. Also, yeah, it's still...
I hear another... Oh,
yeah, that's a different one.
Ah, you.
Oh, yeah, these guys. Yeah, they specifically give the level up souls.
This is a very elaborate haunted house. If I saw this in the boardwalk, I'd walk in.
Yeah. Also, I want to mention, because Fat Scout was talking about the Definitive Edition, the lock-on thing. So I think the main reason, first because like auto lock is considered a more casual friendly mechanic, because you know you're not having to aim. I think it was also partially with PC in mind, because doing 360 directional inputs on a keyboard is not easy, because you only have 8 directions. But with a game that doesn't have lock on, you don't have to do any directional inputs, and I think that's why they prioritized not having lock on.
Imagine if this was all QTEs.
Thankfully they didn't go for that. This was around the time where the industry had mostly started to turn on QTEs. Not entirely, because Resident Evil 6 was about to come out, or had just come out. I forget exactly when. It's the same
those
year.
Campaigns.
Yes. Might be the first, probably. Yeah, might be the first time we reference Resident Evil 6. I bet. Be multiple times.
You know, something that's been
Bron
screwing me up through this entire thing is that I keep hitting B to dodge, which is what it is in Devil May Cry 2. So
Yes.
I'm still thinking Devil May Cry 2 while playing this at the moment.
Yeah.
Bronwyn in chat
Ow.
says, I love when the main character doesn't care about the danger. And that's a big point about, like, you know, Dante's characterization is what you would call a practiced bravado, to quote Max Payne, which is the idea of being too cool for the things you are doing, being so rehearsed, basically playing a character who is above the action that you are encountering, which is,
Oh, wait.
you know.
Whoa. What's that?
Not in a million years.
Oh, that scamp.
That won't work.
Why not?
He's bulletproof.
I'm bulletproof.
You need a third gun.
There's a rip up ahead.
What?
They are attempting
So-
to do... like, this Dante is attempting to do some sort of practice bravado. Oh, by the way, I'm lower than the others, according to I Am Headful, so boost me by, 5% on Discord, I guess.
All right.
And then move the chat up another 10 pixels.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, because Dante has in a lot of the games had the attitude of the threats he's dealing with, he treats as trivial, but he does it. He did it in a more fun way where he just plays with these big demons that think he's stronger, and they're trying to mess him up, and he's just goofing off. And you don't really get that with this Dante. You get it a little, but it's done in a more kind of I'm too cool for this, as opposed to
the original Dante. The way I would say is the
doesn't-
original Dante is having fun. He's having
Yes.
a good time hamming it up and being there.
Yeah,
which
he's not
is, his
trying to be
character.
cool. Yeah, he's doing it just for himself.
He's doing.
just-
I think he is trying to be cool. I think he is trying to play it in such a way as it is sort of an intimidation.
Yeah, but
at
he's
the
not trying to
same
impress
time-
anyone. He's not trying to make anyone fangirls out of it.
What's
Kind
that
of
one?
He
I
thinks he's cool.
What's
Yeah,
that
this
one
Dante-
quote?
and that's important. Yeah.
What's that one quote someone was saying? Oh, Dante's actually scared out of his mind during everything, and that's his coping mechanism is to be goofy.
No, I haven't
need-
heard
we-
that lore before.
We do need to see more of this version of Dante, hear more of his dialogue, see the differences between this Dante.
Wait.
Yeah.
I feel like the rest of
Because
that
I
stuff
have
had
a lot
put
to
away.
say about that.
It's working.
I do like someone just using a Molotov cocktail in a Devil May Cry game.
And how's my
And yeah.
volume now, folks?
Hunters
Oh yeah, and of course, okay, there's a lot to be said about that wig scene. It's so clunkily inserted. It really feels shoved in. Someone at some point was just well, where can we fit this in? I've seen the argument that it's supposed to be subtle foreshadowing. I don't think it necessarily works for that, but we'll have to get into that later. But if you thought I was hyper fixating on the hairpin, it wasn't me. It was everyone else. The devs and the press thought it was the big deal, and it was the thing to poke fun at. And if the reception hadn't have backlashed as big, it probably would have been seen as a fun Easter egg, oh, we remember that. But it was the wrong time to do that joke, especially in the first fucking level. You maybe could have pulled that joke off halfway through the game, but we don't even really know this guy at this point. Outside of he has sex and he drinks and he lives in a trailer.
And he needs a human girl to tell him how to do combos and when to attack and what the weak point is on a boss. And that's never been a thing in previous Devil May Crys, as far as I can recall. It was never this transparent about, or never had a second person telling you how to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
I guess is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Well, she's not telling you the combos. The omnipresent narrator of game design is telling you the combos.
But she's saying all right, now aim for his head. Shoot him now with your guns to make him come down so you can hit him with your sword, is basically what she is saying.
Granted, she doesn't do that all the time, but there is definitely a narrative that she is more an expert on this demon stuff than Dante is. But this is supposed to be an origin story.
Well, it's an origin story where he already says hey, I've done this a bunch.
Yeah, it's conflicting origin story.
Guntanks in Space asks, before I yap more in chat, what's the spoiler ruling for this one? Just for the sake of, look, know that we know what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we know.
The three of us know what happens in the game. And, personally, I don't care about spoilers, especially if it's, mechanic spoilers or, talking about, the progression of a game and whatnot. But maybe try to avoid some narrative stuff until it happens in the game.
Yeah.
Just like your
Or mother. I don't know my mother, but if you're calling me a son of a bitch, you wouldn't be the first.
So cool.
I've finally gotten out of limbo and into pre-rendered.
As I said before we started the stream, that line seems so clunky to me.
I barely remember her.
It's because he doesn't pause. He doesn't emphasize anything.
Yeah.
He just rushes through the line like even he's embarrassed to say it.
I will mention the actor playing Dante here. I don't remember his name, but he is Australian, so he is putting on an accent for this performance.
I would say like original Dante could sell that line because he would pause in the right spots. He could do it playfully in a way where like it's goofy and endearing. He'd be like, "Well, I don't know my mother, so if you're gonna call me a son of a bitch, I guess you wouldn't be the first." Like he could like find some way to spin it.
Okay, Dante.
How do you know my name?
My boss knows you. He wants to meet. Please? I helped you back.
Why does he have a Union Jack on his...
Oh, because it's punk. And because
Heard of the
Ninja
Sex
Theory
Pistols?
are British. But it does seem like a guy who thinks he's cool would do. Like, yeah, I'm punk. I'm gonna go Union Jack and put on my jacket.
We get a Union Jack
I like
and
how he
nothing
pointed.
else.
He pointed with his finger like, "All right, go," and then immediately she turns the car around, pulls a Yui.
That's my boss.
Wonderful. Can't wait.
We're just receiving reports of a terrorist attack that's taken place at the Bellevue Pier in the Western District of the city.
People point out that the Jesus Christ, that SUV, that car model. Yeah, the car models are really fucked up in this game for some reason. That's something I remembered.
Take place anywhere, anytime, and when you least expect them.
We have your scent, son of Sparta. Now it is just a matter of time.
Is this your ranking screen coming up?
Mm-hmm. That reminds me, I didn't comment on it because there was a lot of cutscenes at the beginning, but when he's doing his monologue he's like, "Oh, I control the world," and the lady saying his stuff, and then he does the weird bit where he like reacts to nothing, and he's like, "Oh, except for one thing." It's like, it is like weird over the top like theater acting. It's so weird, his performance.
I want to upgrade.
Leslie's asked,
now.
was Dante the son of Sparta in the Japanese games? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His gimmick has always been that, and that his brother Virgil.
Yeah.
The twin
Unfortunately,
brothers.
unfortunately, a bug in the Texas spoiled that. Yep, Virgil's a Finn.
So I've been fucking up Stinger when I've been trying to do it because it's weird in this. Because normally Stinger is lock on, forward, and attack, and that's not it here. And you don't have lock on; it's double tap forward. So there's a lot of like,
kind of like
other...
Bayonetta, but Bayonetta also had the lock on, so you could do the input the other way.
Yeah. But there's a lot of like DmC isms I have to unlearn to play this DmC game.
Yeah, if you played Bayonetta recently, it maybe would feel more natural.
Okay,
but yeah, if you're more familiar with Devil May Cry, it does feel a bit strange.
I'm just gonna get shoot level 3 just so that's done, and I never have to worry about upgrading shoot again.
Vic T pointing out the definitive edition massively fixed the gameplay in this game. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we're aware, but this is the version that got high marks from critics and low marks from consumers when it came out.
Yeah.
Bad game Hall of Fame, not massively improved game Hall of Fame. I'll take Hacker.
Yeah. Also, another thing I don't like about this upgrade system is almost every level 2 upgrade is just a damage boost. Whereas most Devil May Cry games, it's not like, you're upgrading the function, like Stinner has more range, or this move does like extra.
What do you mean, starting a new mission will wipe all your progress in the current mission? We just ended... What?
What?
That's a really confusing way to present that. They're just saying, like, if you wanted to redo it, because it's a game that has a scoring system in it, they're giving you an opportunity, right, to, like, go back. You want to do the boss better? You want to try to improve your rank?
No,
but this is an awful way to convey that through, like, mechanical text.
I guess maybe it's because you have existing saves on this. It's trying to...
No, this is fresh.
Assuming...
This is fresh.
Well, you have... Yeah, but you have other saves on the computer, right?
Yeah, but on different files entirely.
Yeah.
That
know,
shouldn't apply between them.
It's very clunky.
Gold orbs will revive Virgil, I guess.
Vesely's asks, is there any female character in this game that isn't referred to as a whore, a bitch, etc.? Well, there's only 2 female characters in this game.
Yeah.
Three.
The demons are amongst us, Dante. They are enslaving mankind. The world is asleep, brainwashed, and helpless. We're fighting back.
This is so on the fucking nose. Every bit of dialogue in this game.
Yeah. You know, if anyone's familiar with the Garth Marenghi meme of, I know authors who use subtext and they're all cowards.
Vast intelligence on the demons.
This is that unironically.
Bankers, pop stars. We can hit them where it hurts.
Was this written by me in high school between the margins of like my school notebook where I was drawing fantasy symbols and cool S's?
No, this was written by a game developer in his 30s. I want to remind people, Tamim was not a young chicken when he made this game.
Amazing. Dante, it really is you. You don't remember me?
No.
How much of your childhood do you remember?
Not much. I had meningitis when I was 7. Wiped my memory. Why?
They told me I had a car accident that resulted in total amnesia. Age? 7.
Wow, what a coincidence.
Your point?
Well, meningitis is a human affliction. You are not human, Dante. All war is fought with deception, and you have been deceived. Your past has been hidden from you for a reason.
Rewind a bit. Who are you again?
My name is Virgil. I established the Order to help find a way to fight the demons.
Besides swords and bullets, you mean?
Such weapons can win battles, but not the war. We use force, yes, but we also use intelligence, politics, propaganda.
You really believe you can make a dent?
Occupy Pandemonium.
Make a dent? With the 2 of us working together, I believe that we can defeat them.
So that's what this is about. You need me to fight the demons, help you save the world.
What else were you planning on doing with your life?
Well, you guys do seem really nice, but I'm more of a loner type. Trust issues, work alone, that kind of thing.
Fuck off.
I don't think you understand.
Someone read the script.
If you want to leave, turn your back on
Those
me.
were supposed to be notes. Those weren't actual lines of dialogue. That was stage direction.
Ah, shit.
Not just for yourself, but for mankind.
For mankind?
Yes.
Sighs deeply.
Give a shit.
Disappointed.
At least give me a chance to show you.
Show me what?
Who you really are.
Welcome to On the Nose City, population paradise.
You want a cheeseburger? They make a great cheeseburger here.
Brom Brom Wine pointed out a good fact about Dante meeting his identical twin here. Does Dante not own a mirror in this version? Probably not, actually, knowing him living in a trailer and drinking when he wakes up.
Oh, there it is! The trilby!
There it is.
You will.
Oh yeah, I saw someone in the chat earlier call it a fedora, and then me, I was like, this is a trilby, how dare you!
What are you doing?
Our world and Limbo are very closely superpositioned. They collide in places causing what we call rifts. It's here, in the rifts, that we can create gateways to and from Limbo.
I have 2 notes about this cutscene, but I'll wait till it's done.
Oh, yeah, I have questions.
Doesn't smell too good. What's in the can?
A compound I created based on an old Wiccan recipe. Sea salt, shark oil, iron shavings, desiccated squirrel semen, wolf hair.
Good stuff.
Go ahead. The house holds secrets. I found mine. Now it's your turn.
How'll I get back?
We'll take care of that. Just be careful. It can get rough in there.
I like it rough.
He really bought that whole thing about us finding a way to get him back.
He doesn't seem to care.
He's raw. Just like you were when I first found you.
The lady.
All right, so
Okay, wait. First of all, well, I think we have maybe more expository dialogue coming up,
maybe a little bit, yeah.
or not. That
Okay,
that
there will
trilby,
be, though.
not in definitive edition, right?
Yeah, yeah. People talk about in the chat. The patch notes are extensive, but I can confirm it does not mention that Virgil's trilby hat is completely removed from that version. You could probably just figure out why. But my important question related to that cutscene is, where exactly do you get desiccated squirrel semen?
From desiccated squirrels,
Yeah.
or
No,
you
no.
desiccate the semen, you dehydrate
Yes,
the semen, I guess.
to be clear, it's desiccated squirrel semen, not desiccated squirrels semens.
I mean, you ever see those YouTube channels with people with dehydrators?
Well, show
Like
me your
that.
secrets.
I will say.
I'm just saying, in canon, Cat has a way to obtain squirrel semen, and that's something you have to deal with.
Sure.
Joe P. Real says squirrels store their nuts for the winter.
There it is.
Hey-oh.
I actually like the idea of a witch that is making sigils using like stencils and putting regents into spray cans. I think that's a cool modern interpretation of like a witch.
It's in the idea, yeah. I think in the later cutscene, she even says like, "Oh yeah, it's just quicker. Do it this way."
Bell in a can, yeah.
Can't get there yet.
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
Something. I hear one of those like lost souls like kind of hovering around me somewhere in here.
Yeah, this level changes a couple of times though, so they might be giving you the radar too early.
Yeah, it could be totally like outside of geometry right now.
Yeah.
And still beeping.
Speaking of too early, I don't think I wanted to come here this early, but oh well. It progresses the game forward.
Oh yeah, this level is slightly non-linear.
This level is also just him getting all of his memory back immediately.
Yeah, we'll get into it, but yeah.
Who the hell are you?
Is that the most we actually ever see of Sparta in any of these games?
No, actually.
My dad.
I mean human Sparta, not, demon Sparta.
In-game... Well, you actually see more of him in this game. I won't spoil it.
Oh, okay. I might have forgotten that.
But in the original games, they've only released like concept art of him. And they've given Dante that costume that's like based on his outfit, the one with the monocle. Which is essentially what Sparta would have looked like in his human form. Like the feature, his features would have been very similar. He just would have been older looking. Oh, Death Knight.
I like how the roar was interrupted like halfway through. It was like, roar! Roar!
Tough guy.
A wise guy, eh? Yeah.
This is a minor thing, but I can bring this up now. I remember there was a preview Capcom were doing, and I think they might have been seeding questions from live comments or something. And someone brought up this game doesn't have the taunt button functionality that Devil May Cry's had since the first game. And I think the Capcom rep, because they didn't have any Ninja Theory guys there at the time. This was way after the controversy had started, so you can guess why.
What are you trying to show me?
But they said something like, "Oh, Ninja Theory, they care about their lore. They want the story told a certain way, so they don't want you being able to randomly taunt in like dramatic fights." But then he taunts. He audibly taunts in dramatic fights all the time anyway. As you saw in that fight, he was just, So I don't think that was the reason. I think they just didn't prioritize it.
He looks like such a big, pouty, stupid baby from so many camera angles. Again, I gotta say, Splatterhouse soundtrack does this better. Does its dramatic like drops so much better.
Yeah, here we go. We got new weapon. This like giant. I don't know what you would call this. It's not quite an axe. It's like an axe mixed with a halberd. Yeah, I'll say it is kind of a cool weapon. It's very different for Dante.
Speaking of very different, the way that your other weapons work in this game is very different compared to Devil May Cry's. If you want to take control of that.
Yeah, I can explain that. So, this game doesn't have the same kind of weapon switching as previous Devil May Cry's. It has mode toggles. Right. So on the right trigger and the left trigger, I won't say what the left trigger does yet, but on the right trigger, you hold it down, and it causes Dante to bring out, quote, devil weapons. And it also, I believe later on, also affects like the dodge as well. No, that's more extensive in Definitive Edition, but he has like modes. So you would do your like basic moves with the sword with the Y, and then when you want to bring out the axe, you just would hold down the right trigger, and now you're doing axe moves.
Yeah, so as opposed to like switching out weapons entirely, like either through a pause menu or through like buttons, you are just like mid combo, you hold down a button and you're now using a different variety of weapon. And yes, L will be a different one. I know Johnny said he won't spoil it, but since he called the right trigger devil weapons, I think you can take a guess.
Yeah.
Would you agree with the comment from Vic T in chat?
I want to mention that. Yeah.
Who calls it a hot take when they say that the game kind of does weapon switching better than most older Devil May Cry games because you aren't fumbling through a weapon order or pausing?
Yes and no. If the trigger was only tied to one weapon, it would work. The problem is that each mode has two weapons that you still have to cycle through with the D-pad anyway. So it basically has the same problem. And that depends on the character. Like, yes, Dante, because he has so many weapons, you have to learn to, because you can only cycle through them with one button. Obviously, when they brought weapon switching into 4, you weren't pausing anymore. That was nice. But for example, like Virgil, the way he's always played, he cycles with R2 and L2. So you can always access any weapon with one button. And at least in Devil May Cry 5, if you don't like having to deal with all that weapon switching stuff, you can just go in with just 2 melee weapons and not deal with it. So, yeah, I get it's a valid point. But, like I said, this game's you're still swapping weapons. And also, I don't know, I feel it's a bit clunky to have to hold a button down to use that weapon. I would have liked if they'd given you the option to at least tap to turn on, like, the axe as well.
At times, it can feel pretty natural, but at other times it can feel kind of like
Dante
tying your hands together in like weird knots.
Yeah, and I'll mention just from an accessibility standpoint that like having to hold triggers for a long time can be an issue if you have like strength issues or pain issues like mine. So being able to tap buttons is just a nice option for that. And yeah, speaking of the other dodges, there you go. They've just unlocked. I forgot about that.
I think, a concession or something I'll say here is that, in terms of mechanics, there's going to be a lot of subjective stuff. I wouldn't fault anyone for saying that they prefer some of the ways this game mechanically handles stuff versus another Devil May Cry game, versus the bulk of Devil May Cry games. Now, however, what is objective is that Combi Christ fucking sucks. I'm going to disagree with the chat vehemently whenever, this drop goes hard, though. Now, objectively, my musical opinions are correct, and no one else's are.
I like the Never Surrender track. I don't really like any of the other tracks they did in this, personally. But like I said, anytime I've talked to someone who is a fan of them, they always said, yeah, this is their weakest stuff. But also, apparently they have like phases. Like they've kind of changed.
Yeah,
their
they
genres up a
changed.
lot
This
of
is around
time.
the time where they stopped being like gothic industrial and started becoming just like very generic-y. Like it's kind of like goth metal. Like I've listened to enough Combi Christ to be like, there's like a delineation point. There's a point where like they sort of like change genre. They start to like shitify their sound in the same way that every metal band does when they're allowed to last for too long.
I'm also not seeing the move I really want to get, and Johnny, you know what that move is. You probably know what the move I'm talking about is. I just don't see it here. Unless it's actually this.
Sure. Well, what does it do? And then I'll remember.
Well,
that's just the upgrade of that, yeah. Yeah. Well, again, that one makes it more damage, and I think it gives it a bigger AoE as well.
Oh, here's the thing. I don't have that one yet. That's Trinity Smash. That's its own thing. So I
okay. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Valkyrian 2024 mentions the Sin of Combi Christ would be co-composed the soundtrack for Hellblade. That's a very different soundtrack, by the way. So that's interesting.
Frank Gothic, who's regular in the Discord, says, what I've learned hanging around the Bag Game Hall of Fame for a bit is that, yes, Cass's music opinions are objectively correct. Thank you. It's finally, someone gets it.
Yeah.
We want the best soundtrack in a video game? Earache Metal Racing. Extreme Metal Racing. We played that as part of kart racers. It's got Deiciden. It's got fucking Morbid Angel. You just can't beat that.
Oh, God. Okay. I will read this. Vesles in chat mentions, I remember when Combi Christ almost had Blood on the Dance Floor as an opening act, but got rid of them when the accusations of their lead Sinner came out. And it's like, good that they got rid of them.
But
I would have got rid of them based on
that.
Yes.
I would have gotten rid of them based on the fact that they're blood on the dance floor.
Yes.
The girlies suck my dick like an ice cream stick. An ice cream stick? An ice cream stick. No one has ever called it an ice cream stick except for blood on the dance floor. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember if some of these levels might have items that you can't pick up until you've like beaten the game or got to a certain like unlock.
I think I think the first level did, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I love commenting about music stuff. Vessel's continues. I think they had Blood on the Dance Floor on their tour as a way to appeal to younger audiences. But again, they didn't want to tour with the Sex Fest. Luckily, they found a replacement band called Lost Prophets, who were just at the peak of it now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's just trash.
That was me. I remember this.
They really don't give me any sort of green orb whatsoever. Remember that time you went through the tunnel? It was real fast. Whoosh.
Remember 5 minutes ago when I asked you this question, Dante?
Well, I got transported to tutorial world.
Mm-hmm.
The best place to get tutorialized, I found, personally.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you couldn't ask for a better place.
I think canonically this is supposed to be like Dante's Mind Palace or something.
Remember Dishonored? And how like half the game was like spent in places like this?
I've not played Dishonored,
like this.
so...
Haven't played much of that at all, actually. Well, I'm fucked. Time to leave.
Oh yeah, I forgot they only give you this now.
And apropos of absolutely fucking nothing either.
Well, so that hunter demon was using this. So that's supposed to be how he got it. But I don't know why he didn't get it earlier.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, he gets Nero stuff. And I can't quote it because it was literally a Discord post. But at some point there was a Devil May Cry Discord that like a Ninja Theory dev was in. And at some point, someone mentioned to the guy, I noticed that this Dante, look like visually and combat-wise feels closer to Nero, and apparently that was actually intentional. Like they wanted to represent that combat more. And we'll even see later on he has moves of Nero's beyond just this grapple.
You know, funnily enough, when the trailer for the reveal trailer for Devil May Cry 5 dropped, and it was all focused on Nero, I thought they were making a sequel to this Devil May Cry. Because I was
going to bring that up.
Yeah.
I didn't think that, and I still, for some reason, cannot figure out why people, aside from the short hair, figure it was him.
I thought that until it's Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Nero? I like Nero, even in DmC4.
I like Nero.
I mean,
you
can tell that at that point, Capcom were already trying to get away from Dante as being the focal point of the series in some capacity. I mean, granted, Nero is just Dante light, but, you know, he's also, like, someone who actually, like... I mean, Dante's whole thing is that he cares about humanity, right? You know, that's clear, that's evident, that he's holding on to his humanity. That's the appeal of Dante, by the way, and that's the entire arc in the narrative and the moral of these games, is that someone as powerful as Dante could still be, like, fascinated and in love with humanity to the point that they're doing like Michael Jackson moves, that they're fascinated with human culture specifically and choose to stay in their human form. And, you know, so the progression of that character, who is like at that point too cool for school, and then passing the reins off to Nero, who is like going on his first like real adventure, and so he has like that cool factor, he can build up to being that character, but like still has to like, you know, get there in terms of experience.
You are not meningitis. Remember, meningitis. Even outside of story, I think Nero's like the most fun character to play in the series.
Yeah.
I love playing as him. He's my favorite.
And
So what else have you got?
I think it's fair to say in Devil May Cry 4 they played it a bit too safe, where he is a bit too much like Dante. You know, we're a bit different. He has the more abrasive edge. He's more quick to curse and that kind of thing, and more like disrespectful of people. But like by 5, they definitely made him feel like his own person, which I like. And you know,
DmC4 Nero feels like a young Dante. You know, almost like what this game is trying to do, almost like what this game is trying to portray, and not doing it nearly as cleanly, or in a way that feels like this guy could ever grow up to be the Dante that we know.
But yeah, so unfortunately, I don't remember which Ninja Theory developer it was, but yeah, Nero apparently was the main inspiration for a lot of this character. Oh yeah, Nero's left-handed, I forgot, yeah. Also, I saw some jokes about the Netflix series and how that seems to have more in common with this writing than the Devil May Cry series writing, and yeah, that seems to be the case from what I've seen.
Yeah, Victi, I think it was Victi in chat who said the irony of Tamim Antonionade is directing this game and Adi Shakar directing the anime isn't lost on them. Pretty much the same experience. Let's just flip it on its head and make it edgy.
Another hidden thing in here. I did the hidden things to like make it easier for me, but it's actually going to drive me insane.
Yeah, because it's positional audio. Oh, there we go. And I'll mention it. It's quite easy to get high end mission rankings in this game because it puts like a big focus on collectibles more than it does your combat ability. Like if you get a decent amount of collectibles and orbs in a level, you're pretty much guaranteed to get an S.
They're here! They're here! They found us!
What the hell happened?
By the way, if you're wondering if this is a game where Charky's gonna grind off stream, of course it's a game where Charky's gonna grind off stream.
Why do you do this to yourself?
I want stuff. I want
yeah, at the very
things.
least, you get to showcase as much of the moveset as we possibly can. So it works out.
Whoops, okay, that works.
Yeah, and we haven't got into it too much, but we'll definitely showcase it. The way the star meter works is changed quite a bit as well.
I know that voice.
This is just a note from me, the person who cares most about narrative in games like this at this point, is that Dante is, for the character that you're trying to portray, which is, as I said, a very immature, amateur even, Dante, who starts the game with no memory of his childhood, and is like also like has no morality. He's like a drunk and a miscreant. And by the end of this second mission of the game, his character is basically fully evolved.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They give up on, like, this is a game where which begs for him to like develop over the course of a video game, over the course of a narrative, to have what some writers, what some hack writers might call a character arc. But in this game, they just want to get that out of the way as quickly as possible, and so just memories back, and all his priorities are basically set.
Oh yeah. He goes from aimless to I have a purpose in life in this just in this mission.
Like a better game, a real video game, would like have him being like reluctant for way longer.
Mom?
Hey, Mom, it's me, Dante. Why aren't you talking back? Paint?
I love you, Dante.
Stop doing that to my head, though. It hurts.
Why are they obscuring her face? We see it in full in this painting.
Yeah.
Fucking demons.
You know, there's this character that you may have heard of. He's kind of obscure. I believe his name is Han Solo. Who is, you know, sort of the archetype of a roguish anti-hero type who, you know, begins the story. You may have heard of it. It's called Star Wars. Who begins it just like is completely mercenary, just in it for the money, like no loyalty to anyone. And then he shows like minor signs of like actually giving a shit. But then like just as quickly as he has like a moment where he does that, by the next movie, he like is back to not caring it and fucking fleeing at the first sign of real trouble. And then, you know, they build on that and they iterate on that. And so by the end, he is a fully formed character who actually gives a shit, and you get to watch that journey.
Yeah, but is he getting a cool
and that
scythe?
Yeah, that's episode 7, I think, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
And
also,
so, like,
I think it's a cool weapon.
Good crowds. Becomes powered with devil energy when striking enemies, granting bonus damage when fully charged.
Slime in chat says, I think most things on Bad Game Hall of Fame become failed art for mostly monetary reasons. Yeah, that's absolutely true. They ran out of money, they were wrung out of a bunch of poor developers to line some executives' wallet. So it's nice seeing something that fails more on its own merits on the show.
Yeah.
This seems like a game made by people who are confident in themselves and their ideas and had enough time and money to realize those ideas. Now, if those ideas were actually any good. No, it's good to have these sort of games, though.
Yeah.
Games that you can point to, like the production value, not the problem. The mechanics, you know, you can have gripes, but again, you can also prefer the gameplay to this over other Devil May Cry games and make some sort of compelling, articulate some sort of argument for it.
It's almost entirely like a difference in sensibility with the mechanics.
By the way, now that I've gotten to triple S in a combo in this game, can I say that this is my favorite of the style announcers in the games. Savage, Sadistic, Sensational, I think is real cool.
Yeah, it's a cool addition. This is not this is not a game absent of good ideas. It's the full package is where I take umbrage with stuff. And yeah, as you might see there, like so the style system is pretty much an optional mechanic, but it's a way to gauge how well are you mastering the mechanics, and the game, as is the genre, rewards you for mastering. If you're getting consistent S ranks, you're getting more rewards. That's like the whole philosophy with the whole quote character action, size action subgenre.
Yes, but what if you could do this?
Yeah, and they really mess with the style system here, where it's almost just damage based. Combo variety doesn't really matter. Like like if you repeatedly use just Rebellion's like base combo, you won't ever decrease in style. And it's a bad stereotype to say because I don't like, despite what the history section might have given the impression of, I don't like to rag on Game Impress because it's a lot of you know, like making fun of the forests, the trees, but not realizing the forest is the problem. It's a clunky way to say that saying, but I'll stand by it.
People
yeah,
talking in chat. Finish your point if you.
Yeah. But you know, the way I've heard this game described is it is kind of designed to fit the critic sensibilities in the way of reviewing something. Because it's like you play this game, it's like, oh, look at me, you're doing awesome. You're not really having to, you know, go through multiple playthroughs, really dive deep into your systems, experiment. Like, it's a game that's all about, like,
are you trying to sequence break, Sharky?
Yeah,
by the way,
I can do that. I'll stop, but I forgot the trick how to sequence break that thing.
Yeah. But I think that, like, talking about that is a good thing to bring up as to why this was such a critical darling at the time. Is it fits, if you're someone who is grinding game reviews, you know, oh, I've got 2 days to review this game and then I have to review another one, and I can't specialize in a genre or a style. Like, this game is designed for you in a sense.
It's a doing cool shit simulator. It is press button to do cool shit, which I can appreciate on some level. Absolutely. So I wanted to bring up that there's discussion in the chat about how DmC 5 owes a lot of its identity to this game, and that being hilarious to the person who posted it. This was the first DmC with style announcer. I would bet the style announcer thing was less a stylistic decision initially coming from this, and more just a means of not having you fixate on the UI. To have someone announce what your style rank is seems like a mechanical solve, a solve to the mechanical issue of we want to have people focusing on center frame rather than scanning elements of the heads-up display.
Yeah. No,
I mean, it's also cool.
It's a smart idea as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of spoiling where the history section will go as well. Yes, Devil May Cry 5 does borrow a lot from this, but this is also a game that borrows a lot from Bayonetta. Even the way this Angel Lift and Grapple Hook works is very similar to a weapon in Bayonetta, where you held the barn and then you could start like whipping enemies and things. I forget what the weapon's called.
Let me ask this question to you, Charky, by the way. Is this platforming fun? Did you enjoy this part of the game?
I was about to ask about this, yeah.
I mean, this is tutorial platforming, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot of this.
But I'll be honest, it does not evolve mechanically much beyond this. You get one more move.
It's perfunctory.
I describe the platforming in this as on-rails platforming, because very rarely do you have to judge the distance for jumps. A lot of it is just doing this. It's just doing this. It's just do this input. It's basically a QTE at a certain point. And I get why they did this, because platforming in Devil May Cry was always sucky. But to me, this isn't fixing that problem. This is just like, well, let's not just try. Let's just kind of make platforming that plays itself. And it's like, well,
press
at that point, then
to do cool shit.
Yeah. So like at that point, you might as well have just not had it, in my opinion. I think Devil May Cry 5 found a good balance where it's like, oh, this platforming actually feels good to do.
Bye.
Bron with the point that they're repeating themselves, but this is the second level, and they just keep throwing weapons and mechanics at you. Every 15 minutes, there's another gimmick. Yeah, they're tossing fucking much at you, adding so much to your arsenal.
They're front-loading like every mechanic within level 2, more or less. Like, we're not getting... I don't think we get Devil Trigger this early, but still.
Yeah, I'll say the pace they give you stuff is quicker than most Devil May Cry's. And they run out of stuff at a certain point as well.
You can make the point that they're they're giving you all the tools in the toolkit up front, so that there's less learning curve. But at the same time, the new players that they're ostensibly attempting to get into the series here are just going to feel overwhelmed by how much shit is getting tossed at them. If you are a newcomer, you are like, wow, there's so many fucking things to do. It's sure going to be hard to remember all this shit. Would be like how I would feel. jumping into this. I think a lot of the people that defend this game do come at it from the perspective or from the life experience of being fans of the broader Devil May Cry series, the franchise as a whole. And then, you know, for whatever reason, this game stands out to them.
I'm honestly not so sure because I've had to mention several times like how much I have to unlearn Devil May Cry to play this, and like I can still manage like what it's trying to teach me just because I have experience in a, you know, character action game, but being pre-experienced in Devil May Cry doesn't really help with this one. It's more of a hindrance than anything. So I don't think it's throwing too much necessarily, but only because I'm used to games like this. But being used to Devil May Cry games is not helping with this experience in particular.
Yeah, it is funny. I used one quote, but there were like multiple interviews where Tamim and others brought up the comparison with Bayonetta, and there's even one where they said like, "Oh, we're not trying to compete with Bayonetta. We're trying to do different things." But this game really feels like it is based on how Bayonetta feels to play and control. And again, not in a bad way. It's just it's weird that they weren't upfront about it.
My mom, Eva, and my dad cracked glass.
I remember.
Yeah. I really don't know why they go to such lengths to cover Sparda's face in this.
My mother. Her name was Eva.
Because the other games covered his face.
She gave this to me.
In ways.
Yeah.
I had a brother too.
Oh, I hate these art. They look so weird as kids.
I mean, at least we know it's not AI, even when it was made.
I had no idea of the danger we were in. The demons found us. When they broke in, I saw him. She gave her life so that we could escape. I will never forget what he did to her.
It's not the face you
forgot.
made.
You had your memory
You
wiped.
did. You literally forgot.
Sparda took my brother and I away.
I feel like that's not the face you have when you watch your mother's heart get ripped out of her body as she lives.
Safely amongst the humans. Wiped our memories to protect us.
That looked more like the face of when she says, "No, we're not getting McDonald's."
Until now.
Also, question: how does wiping their memories protect them? Hey, you know those demons that are coming after you? You're not going to remember they're coming after you, so don't worry about it. That's not protecting them. Nonsense.
I guess it's to prevent them from like seeking revenge on their own terms, but you know, at the same time, like,
or
then how will they know that they should be training themselves for the inevitable conflict?
Ultimately, the pros outweigh the cons in them remembering.
Whoop, got a little stuck on something.
Yeah, I'm also reminded of that
I'm getting out of here.
that quote from that Polygon article we quoted about Ninja Theory's prioritizing cool visuals in their design.
Oh, okay, that's stuff there.
Keep going.
Oh.
Oh, he told you off there.
I don't think that counted as a death.
Bronwyn asks, so Dante was already used to fighting demons at the start. When did that start? Was he an 8-year-old murderizing demons? Yeah.
Well, wait for the next reboot. That takes place even earlier than this one.
You're my brother.
Nope, send him back in. He forgot I'm his cousin.
And I've been looking for you for a long time now. Our mother gave these to us. I think she knew that this moment would come, that we would find each other.
And our father, Sparta?
Banished forever. A fate worse than death, they say. He's never coming back.
A fate worse than death. Bondage. I love that image.
Where we come from, what happened to us. And above all, I want to know who's responsible for all this.
Told you we'd see him again, Sharky.
I'm seeing some Van Darkholme references in chat. Fuck you.
A fate worse than death.
Dark Knight of
Going
the gym.
to the Jabroni Club. 3 blocks down.
Pat Scott says, again, they should have given Dante a longboard to match Virgil's fuck-ass fedora. I bet Tamim really did push for that, to match his longboard, but...
I think we have time for one more mission.
Oh, yeah.
That was a particularly long one, for sure. Alright, what upgrades can we get, though?
I just don't know, like, I don't know what was going on, but someone at some point should have said, hey, maybe cut that image. It kind of undercuts the fate worse than death line.
Trying to think which ones are important. That is probably good. I have 2 points, right? I'll probably take Shredder.
Yeah, that's a good one because it actually upgrades the move as opposed to just a damage.
I'm thinking Raise just for the area of effect, bring people in the air kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right.
And yeah, I see some people in chat talking about like Devil May Cry 5 and the potential sequel on this. I hope this will keep you enticed, but we will be covering that at the end of the playthrough.
Do you remember
in the epilogue
Yeah.
history section?
I remember coming here.
My mother used to bring us here.
Tell me everything.
Some things have always been. There have always been angels. There have always been demons. And there have always been at war.
I feel like Dante should have had the trilby at this point, too.
Rose through the ranks to take power over the
I want to
dark
match my big
lords.
brother.
The strongest, the cruelest. Mundus. But Mundus did not rise alone. At his right hand was his most trusted lieutenant, his blood brother.
Sparta.
But Sparta betrayed him. He fell in love with an angel, Eva.
Taking you here to the Lander of Exposition graffiti to found upon this.
But it happened. And with it came new life. Twin boys. You and I. A hybrid of the warring angel and demon races. When Mundus learned of Sparta's betrayal, his fury knew no limit.
Pictured here.
The lovers down. Eva was murdered by his own hand. And for Sparta, he demanded a more brutal fate. Endless punishment and pain. But even as Eva was destroyed, and Sparta was imprisoned for eternity, each knew that the seed for their revenge had already been sown. Because according to legend, the only beings that can slay a demon king are Nephilim, a hybrid of angel and demon. Those hybrids now exist, you and I.
If you were looking at this and being pedantic about what Nephilim means, don't worry, so am I. I'm thinking the same thing.
Mundus believed that only one child was born. But there were 2 Nephilim, and each had been hidden well. Sparta armed his sons.
How many times do you think he rehearsed this speech for
Dante? The Yamato for Virgil.
Oh, the timing, I did it so well.
Mundus killed our mom and imprisoned our dad.
Yes.
And we're the offspring of angels and demons.
Demon father, angel mother.
Yes, look over my right shoulder. It'll all be explained
The
there.
only ones that can slay the demon king.
Good. How?
Spotter. Fucking demon collaborators.
Yeah, Fat Scout, you missed the
She'll get you out. Stand firm.
you missed the Sparta art.
So I don't know how to find it. If anyone in chat knows about this, please let me know. There's a fan art that a Japanese artist made that shows Virgil ordering his members of the Order to paint all that graffiti ahead of time. That's really cute, but I don't know where to find it.
Oh, what's a style rank system?
Better late than never, right?
Yeah. And yeah, this was the thing I mentioned with these tutorials. And like, hey, developers, don't do these mid-gameplay. Don't pause my gameplay to do this. You don't know what was happening in gameplay. I might have been about to get hit.
Frank Gothic asks, why is Virgil not pulled into limbo here?
Because Mundus doesn't know who that is yet. That's minor spoilers, but basically you saw that guy, the demon collaborator, went, oh, there's Dante. So then, you know, they're looking for him.
Forget about the guy that he's talking to actively. I saw 2 people here. He's clearly like, having a conversation with someone.
Well, it could be anyone, though.
Could be a Mormon.
Oh, Joe Durrell points out Trilby protects him.
Oh, it's like it's a line of tinfoil.
Yeah. But there is an actual reason into it. It's just told in a weird order.
Now, can this chainsaw guy one-hit kill you?
No.
No.
See, now that I have both of the grabby things, I need to start doing more air combos.
There's something I was specifically going to request you do, and it's to show where the skybox,
yeah,
where the ceiling is. This is like the perfect mission for it.
See if we can get
we'll be in this courtyard
here
for a while. Don't worry, if you go to where Cat is, it will lock you back in here.
Yeah. Just looking for anything first. I hear.
Dante, over
You
here.
saw the key door up there, I assume.
Yeah.
Already. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, but there's some you know, like triggers you have to hit to be able to get some of the stuff here.
Right, just grab
Bob
what I
is
can
asking like the question of the playthrough.
Yeah.
That we've sort of been dancing around, that we've sort of been like, you know, and I feel like, you know, we'll really cover this at the end of all things, but they ask, I want to ask you a question, divorced entirely from this series, on its very own merits, what do you think of this game as a character action game?
Well, we'll get to that as we play more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll
one thing I would
definitely-
say is, even divorced from the franchise, just in terms of writing, if this was the first I'd ever heard these characters, of this plot, the first interpretation of it I had ever seen, I would think this fucking sucks. I would think this character sucks regardless of whatever baggage.
I'll have to find another way.
I have a fully formed opinion on this game, but I can't just say it right now because we just started.
Yeah, we'll get real into the weeds on it. But I think the very quick summary I'd say is this is probably the best like big name Western developed character action game. But that's also because like how many of those are there? That is the unfortunate thing there. It's probably the best playing Ninja Theory game. Like even before you like assuming Definitive Edition doesn't exist. It's still a miles improvement over Heavenly Sword and Enslaved, which played like kind of janky God of War games. Yeah,
I missed.
I think the easier thing is there's the scythe has that lift move. You can use that with the yeah, that one with jump cancels, I think you can use to climb, like, very high. Yeah, that's it.
And then I can...
Yeah!
I hit him every now and then, so it is doing some damage.
But yeah, see what I mean by, like, the style meter never decayed there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the stuff in the nuance, folks.
Although the guns actually do a real bad job of keeping the combo going. I've noticed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you spoilers for the whole playthrough. You won't really use guns. They really.
Yeah,
if
like,
you were worried this game was going to play like Devil May Cry 2, I guess someone at Ninja Theory also had that worry because
I'll use it as an extender, but like it's
and there's some sections where
bad
you're
at that
forced
too.
to, but in your toolkit it's like your weakest weapon because you can just zip up to enemies. Why would you shoot them? It's the whole reason Nero's gun works completely different because he has the grab.
It was DmC 3 that had the different classes for Dante, right?
Yeah,
one of them
that's
being gunslinger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that carried over to the future games.
Yeah. But 3 original is where it was you pick your style and you're locked to it, and then there's the switch.
Also, I just remembered how to do that skip that I missed earlier. No, man. No. What could it be tutorializing
Not
me
this
on right
fucking
now?
place again.
Oh no, we'll be coming here quite a
Yeah.
few times.
I told you, this is tutorial zone.
Yeah.
I'm curious what they're going to tutorialize me on right now, because I'm like, what mechanic do I need? Oh.
Yep.
Right. I think you're supposed to go back later. Remember, you were saying like there's shit you need to go to earlier levels of stuff you need. You go back to that second level with this for that thing that I was trying to skip past.
Yeah. No, this is level 3, Bron. That second one is just quite long. And I'll mention, because it's not really spoilers, but boss fights are separate levels in this game. So the main levels tend to be a bit longer than a typical Devil May Cry level.
I think the exception is level 1 ends in the boss fight.
Yes, that's the one exception.
Thank God they're tutorializing you on this jump. Definitely not at the point where I'm saying, yeah, got it. I know how to jump in 3D space. Okay, thanks.
Because yeah, whatever on the tutorial prompts, if you're replaying this game, you're still doing these sections. I don't believe they get skipped or anything.
Getting the hang of this.
Joe DeReal points out that taking to a whole different area for this makes it really bad for the pacing. Yes! Yes! Yes, it does. My thought here is just like, man, this sure is stopping everything you were up to.
But now I'm armed with new knowledge and stronger for it.
Yeah. Also, Frank Gothic bringing up that he's doing it to the same statue. There's a reason. Pay attention.
Yeah, you'll be ashamed for your words and deeds.
Yeah, there's imagery they're going for there.
Dante, I don't think you understand what's at stake.
I definitely know what a steak is. What are you talking about? Delicious. I had one for dinner.
Flying rats.
That's one for the rat roundup. Whoa.
Okay. Oh, you're down there now? Okay.
It's shocking that you can't skip those tutorials. You can't skip going to the Mind Palace or whatever. That's because that's the easy solve for that. Is just like, hey, you know what you're doing? You're replaying this game. You want to just like have an option in the pause menu to skip this. If it took you to the white void, like you do when you're demoing moves from the upgrade menu, and you can just say, "Yep, got it," whenever you're ready to. That'd be good. But because they want to tie it into the story in some capacity, because they consider those to be narrative moments where you have like the conversation with the statue that you're breaking or whatever.
Yeah.
Bye, Dante.
I think it's funny that at least they accounted for it. Someone knew, like, okay, if the player ever gets up this high, you're gonna have to lock the camera so they don't, you know, like break the immersion.
And down we go.
He's fine, folks.
That don't have enough moves for that yet to do anything cool looking.
Cat, on my way.
Oh, I heard something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if you want to find all the extras, I think there is a secret mission in
There
this level.
is, but don't know where it is.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure now if you go that way, you will basically end the mission.
Yes.
That door up there?
Yeah,
Is it that door?
it is.
Can you just boost over to that?
Not enough Arden keys. I have the wrong keys. So this game has colored keys for its secret missions, so I'll have to find an Arden key, come back, and do it. Although this might up here. Oh, yeah, finally something. Anyway,
it's a Donkey Kong 64-esque. No. There is a way to sequence break this, but you don't have the weapon for it.
I swear I've
believe
done this
there
before,
is.
but I can get there. I need to.
Yeah, but you see
remember
that platform.
buttons.
There's something you do in the level that gives you a platform to get there, and I forget what it is.
Damn. Yeah, I knew how to get that at one point, but I don't remember.
You can just stand on the edge of that thing and break it. Yeah, I have seen people do that.
Yeah, I've done it, but the patience I have to like sit around and fuck with like a game to try and find a way to break it, it's there, but not while I'm streaming, not while I'm doing the show. Yeah. So before I move on, though, I am going to break that last thing. Get a little bit more health. Honestly, I probably could have pulled an enemy over there and done that if I had been thinking in advance.
Whee! It's like a Naruto run in the air.
Are we going to tutorial land again? No.
Silver Sachs Tower, the world's most powerful investment bank. And who runs it?
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
CEO Kyle Ryder.
Oh.
A human vessel. The physical manifestation of Mundus, the Demon King.
Silver Sachs. You ever heard of Goldman Sachs? It's very clever of them.
Mundus, the world is a factory farm for human souls. And he likes to keep his animals monitored and docile. The monitoring is done by the Raptor News Corporation, a global network of CCTV cameras, satellites, and spies. The way he keeps us docile is a little more insidious.
What is it?
It's in your hand. Planet Earth's most popular soft drink, Virility. The demons have spiked it.
Planet Earth's most popular soft drink. Fuck good.
It has no effect on us, only humans.
And of course, everyone in the world drinks this drink. There's no such thing as people who don't like soda.
So what's the plan?
So it's foolproof, really.
That's the Hellgate, a conduit from which Mundus draws his power. While he's connected to the Hellgate, he's immortal. But we get him away from the Hellgate, and our swords will do the rest.
So how do we do that?
We get his attention. Mundus is petty. He's impulsive. If we hit him where it hurts, let his anger rule him, I believe we can draw him out.
Okay, so to kill Mundus, we need to drag him away from the Hellgate. We do that by pissing him off.
Roughly speaking, yes.
And we piss him off by taking out the Raptor News Network and Virility.
That's it.
Which one do you want to do first?
Again, just being completely on board already.
Yeah.
Oh,
Any
that
conflict,
was such
internal
hack
conflict. Yeah, he's
fucking
done.
writing.
That's a way shorter level. I'll say, the writing may be bad, but when we got to the part about, and you know who runs the banks, I was like, man, if J.K. Rowling had written this game, would have been way worse.
Yeah, no, this game is not really about analogies and metaphors. It's a very... We'll get into it,
It is
but...
surface level the game.
Like, it doesn't even come out as, like, commentary. It's just literally what if, instead of capitalism, they were demons. Like, it's not even making a point. It's just, no, they're just demons in this world. It's not an analogy. They just literally are.
Like, how hard would it have been to just do a second pass of the script where Dante, at this point, is still just like, all right, you're gonna fucking pay me?
Well, as mentioned in chat, and I'll have to look at the video clip later, script supervisor Alex Garland,
I didn't mean
who did writing on Heavenly Sword and Enslaved. His most famous non-video game thing is probably 28 Days Later. But someone in an interview reportedly asked him what he worked on in this game, and his answer is apparently "fuck all," is the direct quote. But I'm gonna look at that video later, and then it'll be linked
Like
in the YouTube description.
When Homefront credits John Milius for script writing, for writing for rewriting Red Dawn, and then he has actual no involvement with the script. He's just like, he just basically said, "Yeah, do whatever. You just want to rip up my movies, go for it." Then someone else wrote the script, and they just pretended like he wrote the script.
Yeah,
I always
he
love that
did
when
The
they try to
Office,
bring
and to me
Hollywood
was
in
like,
that way.
what do you think of this? And Alex was like, yeah, seems okay.
You want to knock out
Seems
one
like
more
a bit
level?
of a dick though.
By the way,
is this going to be a longer one than the previous one?
Don't know off the top of my head.
A
Actually,
little bit. It won't be as long as the second level though.
Yeah, go for it, I
All
say.
right.
Since we had such a long history section at the top, we can afford to go a little over.
Yes, I'm going to start the mission, despite losing the no progress I made on it.
Johnny, can you add the
Yep,
link
I've got
that
the
Fat
link. I've
Scout
got
just
it.
posted? Yep.
Yeah, I've got it.
Thank you, Fat Scout.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
aware
my favorite NPC's coming up.
Stay low. Mundus doesn't know I exist, so I'll remain hidden until we're ready to strike. Kat knows the virility factory, and what lies beneath. She will be your guide. It'll kill you.
Draw attention.
Rudeness detected. Destroy.
You know, he's got a 5. This is the 5th release Devil May Cry game.
The camera spotted you. They must have been looking out for you. You'll have to take it
If I
out.
remember right.
Here comes trouble.
Oh, hang on.
Stygians, I love your abysses.
There you go.
Big fan.
Bron Bronwyn says, surprised they showed restraint and didn't blame fast food and reality TV on demons. Well, isn't it
They
enough
do.
that they're blaming just like soda on demons? Is basically like equivalent to the fast food?
Soda
and
and Fox
pop
News.
Stars.
Yeah,
pop
they did-
stars are demons.
They did say that.
Yeah, they essentially are. They just aren't directly saying everything. They're letting you fill in the blanks.
A subtle storytelling.
Yeah, but I believe this was the level from the demo.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And Ragebreaker. Well, I don't have
Yes,
drive.
This is another problem with the tutorial messages in this game. Is they'll tutorialize you for moves you don't have.
So that's not them unlocking that move for you
No.
right
No.
now?
They'll just give you random tutorials, be like, hey, there's an optional move that'll do a thing.
That's fucking horrible.
It is, yeah.
Oh, that does tell me I should probably get drive.
Yeah, that's a thing you should be putting on like a load-in screen or in the upgrade menu.
Like, if you're the kind of person, like most people who plays video games sort of half paying attention, I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, we're multitaskers. As
Yeah,
human
yeah.
beings, we are inherent, like, our want is to try to maximize entertainment, which is why, people fucking pull out movies put phones during movies and stuff. it's not good. It's not a positive trait all the time. But like, you know, it's just, you know, the way that media is consumed, even video games which are interactive and you think would be like all encompassing in terms of your attention. This, for some people, they're not. And so to like pause the game to be like, do this, just everything you know as someone who plays games would tell you, oh, this is the indication that I now have this ability. And then you would try to activate that ability, and the realization that you do not in fact have that ability because the game is indicating something to you that you could potentially get in a menu, but not giving you the context, not articulating it.
It just says
in any sort of way that indicates that.
It says at the very end has to be bought in the shop.
Okay.
Yeah, but still, I think it's egregious to even show that, because you'd have to go. You know, the shop's not just pause the menu and add it. You have to go find those statues to get that upgrade. So you're still giving a tutorial problem that you know, and you might not even remember it, because you might go, oh, I own that move, I'll do it later, and then you'll never see it again. Whereas, you know, if the menu at least, like say when you're selecting the upgrade, it might mention, hey, this is something cool we could do.
Someone doesn't want me here?
That's the better way to handle that.
The city itself is trying to stop you.
Great.
Virgil sent me the camera locations for this area. Best avoid them if we can. Follow me.
Does this level end when you get inside of the Virility building, or is that continuation? If anyone just remembers like the structure.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
this?
The next level is that building, yeah,
Yes.
which will be a good starting point.
So there is a
yeah,
good stop
for the next
point.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. There's a climactic scene where this ends.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Nice.
Beyblade, let it rip.
No, can't say
Yeah,
that.
don't get
We'll
us
get our,
copyright
yeah.
struck again. Yeah.
Ow. I might just have to... That might have been a thing where I had to leave that alive to do a move off of it to get up there. I'm not so sure.
Well, now you're saying like this would be like a soft... No, not a soft lock, because that's just a bonus.
That's
isn't
a
it, up
bonus,
there?
yeah.
You
No,
can
I
restart
think
from checkpoint.
No,
I
I'll
think
do it off
there's a
stream.
path that leads you there.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna be playing this game off stream anyway, so I'll just get secrets that I missed.
Yeah, I don't think there's any optional content as hard as, say, like Devil May Cry 1 secret mission kind of stuff.
And somehow back in the day, I got through that game just fine.
Yeah. So I'm
Well,
gonna,
did you
I'm
do
gonna
all the
say,
secret missions? Is the question.
I'm sure I didn't do it like completely thoroughly, but I'm sure I played a few of them.
Yeah,
Just for my natural explorer, like my natural want to explore
Yeah.
levels. You know, I've been raised on fucking Doom and whatnot, and push walls, and just like checking every corner meticulously.
Homeless for you. That's what the advert really says.
What's that supposed to, like, convince you to do, though? It's not like a message like consume, which is like, you know, a direct order. It's saying, is it insinuating that you should become homeless? Like, what
it's because Limbo is like the reality, man. It's what's really going on.
I get that, but what is, if this is supposed to be subliminal, what does homeless for you supposed to, like, plant in your head?
Where is it gone now?
No, it's...
Oh, homeless for you. Home loans for you. So, if you take out a home loan, you'll end up, like, in the poorhouse, not being able to pay it back, and you'll be homeless. Something like that.
I guess, like, Mundus's big thing is owning debt. I guess that, you know,
Yeah.
his...
Yeah. Well, no, I think the reality of it is that they didn't think about it in context of what's it doing in universe, and someone's just like, well, we have to make a twist on home rent.
You can see it there. Right?
Can you buy a better jump from that upgrade
Can
stall?
you... No, you just start with a double jump in this. Can you land on the top of this fountain? Yeah, you might be able to double jump, glide, and then get to that grab.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good call.
Keep the sacks in here.
It'd also be easier to play this off stream because I'm not going to have my hands under the blanket, so the controller noise doesn't come through everything.
I know people have said, I know there's been discussion, like, oh, who cares, just let those controller sounds happen, and that you very subtly said, there's a certain producer of the show who doesn't want that to happen.
Yes.
That is me, and I stand by it, and I'm sorry if it hinders your ability to play, but there are people who it drives absolutely up the fucking wall. It's not even me who gets driven up the wall by those sounds, like, coming through, but I know there are people in the audience who would be driven up the wall by that, and it is better to just not have those sounds to avoid that conversation in the first place.
I don't think I can break through that.
No, that was just where the
that was where
soul
the thing was. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm lucky. Just something with the way my wipe works in the setup, it just doesn't pick that stuff up for some reason.
This isn't good. It's the walls. Get out of here!
Here's something nice. This level is showing off a lot of like the deforming
yes
world stuff that I think is cool. Now let's talk about something bad about this game.
Yeah, it's all about one of the worst gameplay aspects in this game is the color-coded enemies.
Yeah, my sword doesn't work. My axe doesn't work. This works.
Yeah. So, like as I mentioned in the history section, Devil May Cry, it's all about player expression in the combat. Like, if you want to, yeah, you could get through that game just mashing the regular combo. But if you learn, you're like, oh, here's all the tools, now go wild. Build combos how you want, use the weapons you want, vice versa. And in some cases, the style meter will even account for that. Like, it actually does automatically tune for, oh, do you not have these weapons unlocked? Do you not have the full moveset unlocked? It won't require the full moveset to get to, like, triple S and things like that. The designers of this game found, oh, well, we need a way to encourage players to use all the weapons. And we know that that's what the style meter's for. But what if we just took away choice and forced it? And yeah, the way they handle it, that these enemies are completely, not only immune, but completely kill your combo and momentum if you hit them with the wrong weapon. In a game with no auto-lock, with auto-lock, by the way, so you can't manually pick what enemy you're targeting sometimes.
And if you're doing a combo on a group, and like one of those enemies wanders in, and you glance them, that counts as like, oh, kill the whole combo.
Yeah. And annoyingly, it's something that some reviews highlight as a positive. They're like, oh, it's cool because it reminded me to use these weapons.
I'm going to say they're I'm going to end up being kind of pretty, not defensive isn't the word, but I'm going to be more positive on this game, I think, in general. But that is one of the worst gameplay decisions in this. That is like just a bad decision straight up. Like, I can't defend that at all.
Yeah, and they did know, because Definitive Edition did address that to make it so that any weapon works on them, but only their color makes them flinch. And it's also, I think, does like a bit more damage. So you still at least get the option to just, this other weapon will hit them and it won't penalize you for it.
I'm content to let you two talk about like the deep mechanical stuff like that, because you are very much in this case like the adults in the room when it comes to this. I am but a babe in the woods when it comes to like the deeper mechanics of stylish action. But I'll say, as someone who plays a lot of FPS, that I fucking hate it when a game says this gun doesn't work, because I'm just like, well, it still shoots bullets, doesn't it? I don't give a fuck. Like a caliber is one thing, but like a bullet should still hurt, just no matter what.
Yeah.
And also it's like, a big thing about expression. Like a game that disrespects your expression, your preferred, approach. I like having multiple approaches. I like having multiple ways to skin a cat. And any game that would seek to hinder that makes tools not useful, that hinders, that just arbitrarily shuts off their effectiveness, is a game I usually don't fuck with. Like, I understand that tools have different uses, like, using a pistol to snipe, even if it's theoretically possible, if you know how to just like angle the gun right, let me do it. You know, if I have the means, if I have the skill level, then let me get away with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a really good James Sterling video that brings
Stephanie
up the point.
Sterling.
Like, if these, Stephanie Sterling, that brings up, you know, if the design you're coming up with is so good, you wouldn't need to force it on a player. Cough, cough, Star Fox Zero, cough, cough.
And I'm seeing some Doom Eternal mentions in the chat similarly.
Doom Eternal,
which...
yeah, I love that game, but it's a legit problem. That whole, like, hey, this is the one way we design to take out enemies. There are other ways, but it should have been more open, 100%.
I probably could have gotten it.
Yeah, that was...
It does specifically want me to do this now, though.
For the time being. Over here.
Never seen a witch use a spray can before.
I mean, you did earlier.
Spells can take hours, if not days, to prepare. So why not can it for instant use later?
And they do with cheese. Where'd you learn this stuff?
Virgil taught me the basics of demonology and occultism. Built a natural talent for it. Said it would help me to focus on something constructive instead of...
Instead of what?
Instead of focusing on the nightmares. Okay.
I like Kat well enough in this game. She is mostly fine.
I gotta go.
But
she gets a raw deal, yeah.
She gets such a raw deal and gets the most obvious, edgy backstory, and it does, like, you know, undermine her fucking character a lot.
I'll say
you can just tell it was written by dudes. You can just tell it was written by guys who only know, like, one archetype for a cool female character.
I'll say for Ninja Theory, you know, because their later output does more on mental health and making that part of the story and design. They got a lot better at that stuff, especially because they would like work with consultants for like specialists in the field and advocates and things like that.
It's certainly hard to do any worse than they
again,
do
it's
it
weird
in
to
this
say
game.
about a game whose lead creative director was in his 30s, but they really did mature after this game.
Pizza Mozzarella 123 in chat asked, by the way, is this a series? Yeah, it's a playthrough. It's a full playthrough.
Okay.
Yes, Sharky?
I was going to say, this game, well, this is a reboot of a series. But this this playthrough is, yes, first part of a series.
Yeah.
Also
reminds
at the top
me...
of the show, we did an hour history on the development of this game
Yeah.
and all the controversies and so on and so forth. So we're getting started with the gameplay. We're going to end the gameplay, so we're going to end for the night. We usually aim for like 3-ish hours. But, you know, join us next week.
Next Tuesday.
As it continues until the completion of this game.
Yeah, that does remind me, though. I made allusions to how the press still were like, when Devil May Cry 5 was being announced and about to come out, how the press was still like, oh, but that DMC, though. You heard of DmC? I'm going to reference Wesley, you know, you mentioned the Eurogame editor. I specifically remember there was a press release about Devil May Cry 5 where they talk about, you know, it's been 10 years since the last mainline entry, and then in brackets he editorializes, but why isn't DmC a mainline entry?
No.
It's like, well, no.
It's a reboot.
It's a
by
reboot.
a different company.
That got one entry and then died.
Well, he was still under the
main...
impression from the previous interviews, maybe the ones that he conducted, where they claimed that this was the prequel game.
I don't know if it's that. I think it was just the argument of, well, it's good, so it should count as a mainline release. So, you know, maybe there's a difference of opinion on what mainline means. But it was just really funny. Especially, you know, this is probably me reading into this, but as I mentioned, there was a lot of the, yeah, I know Devil May Cry 5 is coming out, the fans are getting that thing they've been asking for the whole time, but, you know, Devil May DmC, like, there did seem to be a bit of that, like, energy coming from some, not all, but some press around that time. It was odd.
I like that one bit of text that appeared that said, "We hate you." It's like, oh, come on, guys, give me a shot.
Yeah, get to know me first. Then you'll really hate me. Oh yeah, this is... Yeah, this is the end of the level.
Yep.
Oh, great.
You a scared motherfucker, go to church. If you're a
Always
demon
remember.
motherfucker, put in work.
I'll have to find it again. I think it's on Video Gamer. There's an article, it was like a month before Devil May Cry 5 came out. It's like, oh, now's the perfect time to play DmC Devil May Cry. And that's one of the articles that was like, hey, color-coded enemies was great. And the other, my favorite part of it is first saying it's ironic that fans didn't like DmC, considering Devil May Cry 1 started development as a Resident Evil game, which that doesn't make sense.
Huh?
Yep.
Wait, what?
And then they said that this game's Dante doesn't go out of its way to differentiate itself from the original Dante.
Did the enemy of frost powers freeze the other enemy of frost powers?
Monster fighting?
Yeah, but
because like this is a universe where if you use ice powers, you're weak to ice powers.
Okay.
and the really nerdy thing that I get into is they're like, oh, you know, Devil May Cry, you know, Devil May Cry 3, you have like 8 weapons you can bring into combat and you have to manage, whereas Devil May Cry DmC makes it all concise. Spoilers for this playthrough, Dante gets 8 weapons in this game. Like, exactly 8. He gets the same amount of weapons as he does in Devil May Cry 4. 3. Sorry, not 4.
Duntank in Space says, I think if he accidentally parries a projectile, the freeze returns the sender. That's like the the double ice backfire that Sub-Zero does, where if you freeze a frozen enemy, Sub-Zero himself gets frozen.
Yeah, there's no Royal Guard equivalent in this game, but the like clash parrying mechanic is here, and that kind of does the same thing. Oh, here we go.
Speaking of Resident Evil.
Yeah, there's a weird amount of Resident Evil crossover with some of the enemy names. And I'm gonna say it now. I was gonna mention earlier, I forgot. I think the enemy designs in this game are pretty weak.
By the way, I know what the game wanted me to do when it was glowing red back there to use the demon pull to attack him. That would enrage him and make him slightly harder to fight, and it's just easier to do that one combo on him.
Yeah. But yeah, like, if a couple of enemies had the porcelain look, it'd be fine. But every enemy looks like that, so at a certain point, all the designs really bleed together, which is not great for a game where you want to be able to, at a glance, recognize, oh, this is this enemy, so I know how they behave. And they all have the same palette because it's just black goo with the porcelain white on top. Oh. Bobbin in chat mentions, I remember that this Dante was in PlayStation All-Stars.
Seem to drag on forever. Church.
I too say the names of places that I'm exiting.
Well, he had to explain the joke to make it funnier.
Terrorist responsible for the recent attacks at St. Agrius's church. He goes by the name of Dante. Remember his face, people. If you see him, inform the police immediately, but do not approach him. He has a history of physical violence and is a known sexual deviant. This is Bob Barbas, just doing God's work.
Subtle. You know, what I really appreciate about this game is its subtlety.
I feel like his character is more subtle than real life has become.
You know, you might be onto something.
Yeah, ironically, yeah, now it seems passé. Like, how quaint. When propaganda wasn't... Oh.
Thank God it submitted your leaderboard score there.
Alright, I think that'll do it for tonight. I will go ahead and quit the game and bring us up for our final thoughts. Or I could bring us up for our final thoughts while I just fuck around in training mode.
Yeah, you could do that. Also, not our
Yeah.
final thoughts. Our
Final
initial
thoughts
thoughts
of the night.
really.
Of the night.
Of the night.
Final
Yeah.
thoughts of the night. Initial thoughts is how I time code it.
Okay.
For the benefit of.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, y'all are on screen. Okay, why don't who wants to go first?
I'll go first because
yeah.
I'm gonna primarily focus, and I'll leave again the talk about mechanics and stuff, and the way the game plays to you two, because I'm not equipped to talk on that stuff for this genre. It's just not my wheelhouse. So narratively, that again, divorced from the entire context of the series, knowing Dante as a character, if you take this game in a vacuum, the writing in this is absolute fucking horseshit dog shit. Is fucking embarrassing. From the word go, really, that you've made the president your bitch. Like I am, your bitch. It's just like vomit in my mouth. Suck me on the dick. Just, it's so bad, and everything is so on the nose. It really is grade school level political commentary, and just like the obvious homages to like They Live, but done not nearly as cleverly. It's just them taking the surface level understanding, the broad strokes of what the design in that movie is, and just applying that to the subliminality of Limbo or whatever. And just every decision they make, narratively speaking, feels like first draft. This is the most first draft narrative I think I've seen in a long time, between the amounts of exposition and just the child's understanding of what swearing is. And again, just like as a character, Dante has turned too quickly. If you're going to make a Dante that is unlikable, which is what the Dante at the very, very beginning is, when he's listening to his fucking combi Christ and getting blown by ladies he picks up from the strip club while drinking, or whatever the fuck they were conveying in that cutscene, that is not a character you are supposed to like. That is like the epitome of just like a douchebag. And I thought that was fairly clear, like what they were trying to code him as in that. But then to have that character turn so quickly and just be on board with the protagonists, the rest of the protagonists of the game, is like hack. It's just really bad for the pacing, for investing yourself in this character. It just makes you like, okay, so this guy's a blank slate. This guy is nothing and no one. This guy is just going to switch personalities from scene to scene. So why should I give a shit about this guy and what he like currently cares about, is passionate about? So I don't know. Like, I'm just completely and entirely unimpressed from a storytelling perspective here. So like already the game has failed out the gate in that respect for me. If I was someone coming to the series, if this was my first Devil May Cry, or my fourth Devil May Cry, or my fifth, either way, this is just beyond fucking embarrassing. And it's only been 2 hours.
Alright, yeah, I'll start. I have very similar thoughts about the opening. I'll definitely say, I think there's a bit of, this character's a bit unlikable at the start, but I think it's a bit conflicting, because I think they also want him to come off as cool as well, which is also embarrassing in a sense, where it's like, he really does not come off as cool. Even like slightly, not even in like a ironic way. It's just instantly like a very off-putting opening gambit to a character, and then it's like, oh, now plays him and you're doing the cool stuff and you're the cool guy. And no, I'm not. And then yeah, having his kind of internal conflict and backstory of like, oh, why doesn't he care? He needs to learn to care. And it's like, okay, we'll play the second level. Okay, he cares now. You're good, don't worry. It comes off as like lacking confidence. Maybe at some point, I don't know, they had him do it for longer, and they were like, oh, people are gonna turn away, so we need to just get this over with. I don't know. But yeah, it's really hacky writing. And speaking of that, like, this story is really just, what if the Matrix was They Live? And that's it. Like, it's not doing anything those movies weren't doing, because it's, the world you see is not the real world, and it's a facsimile for capitalism, but it's not like symbolism as much as just literally presenting what if capitalism was just demons that kill you. Which, you can make commentary with this stuff, but it's just done in a way where it's literal. It feels like without the substance for it. And, considering that this was sold on the premise of, oh, these Ninja Theory guys, they're so good about cinematography and doing cinematic storytelling, and you know,
yeah, they
working
really
with
sold
Alex
that
Garland.
when Enslaved came out. That really became like
Yeah.
their calling card
Yeah.
for a minute.
And I'll admit, like, I've not beaten their other games, but I've played with them. But like, this even seems like a massive downgrade from those even. And just the tone of this, like, it'll get worse from here, but it feels dated for the time. Because if you remember, They Live in the Matrix were not current pop culture in 2010, let alone 2013. And
remember
a lot
how
of
he
this
said?
style.
Remember how Tamir said like the stuff in 2001 isn't cool anymore?
Yeah.
But it's weird, yeah, because this game is very much in like 90s, like anti-establishment, like energy. It doesn't feel current to 2013 at all, and I feel like it just is aging worse and worse, honestly.
It's sort of doing like Anonymous by way of hackers.
Yes, yeah. And you know, like
Wait.
Hackers, which I've watched recently, is a enjoyable more as a retrospective than like a legitimately cool thing. And then getting
We'll
into
get
the
more
gameplay,
into the story and narrative
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. But that's my initial thoughts on the story, and then the gameplay. We've talked about all the specific nuances, and you can understand why. You know, like a serious fan would come to this and go like, this isn't, you know, the kind of gameplay I'm expecting. This isn't doing the things I want. But the main thing is, as I said, it's like it feels like a game designed, like you play it once, you get the instant gratification, and that's what the design is all cares about. And you know, there's a point to that. It's something like 25% of people who actually finish games they start. So I get why you would target that audience. And you know, it did well in reviews for it. But it's definitely, and you come back to it now, especially you got stuff like Devil May Cry and all the Bayonetta games. Like, a lot of that stuff is quite sloppy coming back to it, as Chucky's shown off like some of the funky stuff you can do, just climb in the air and all that. But like, I wouldn't say this game plays badly. It is very much just like, hey, if this is what you... Not just like the quality of a Devil May Cry combat, but just the general feel. In the control, in the way the character moves, his weight, like that kind of stuff. This was not this. Even as much as they insisted in the interviews about the developers working hand in hand. Like, they might have made the combat way better, but I don't think they really made it feel like a Devil May Cry. As I say, I attest it feels more like Bayonetta. So not necessarily bad, just again, not you know, again, the core audience is still who you're making this for. It's a Devil May Cry game. And you're letting that audience down for the sake of a hypothetical audience that doesn't actually exist, to quote, paraphrase to meme.
Okay.
But that's it for now, for me.
Okay, so... So, story's trash. I'll leave it there. Y'all have talked about the story enough already. I think it's not good. The moment-to-moment gameplay. I'm trying not to get my like final thoughts in now. I'm trying to like kind of leave it where it is, but I think I still enjoy this game in moment-to-moment play. I still enjoy like the action of doing fights, of mixing things up. Like once I get like my head around the modifier sort of attacks like this, I do think it's fun. I'm enjoying playing it. There are aspects of it that are just bad. The color-coded enemies was a bad idea, the way they implemented it. But ultimately, I think this is actually fun to play. It's somewhat mechanically... Someone said mechanically sound. I think it is in places, because there are some big buts, but it is ultimately a fairly sound and fun game to play. I think this would be like a hidden gem if you were to find this amongst, like, you know, character action games. This was a Devil May Cry game. This was like a AAA game in the stylish action series like this. Like, I feel like this is something I've heard a lot of people say, but if this game wasn't called Devil May Cry, it would be a lot more palatable. Maybe not the story, but in terms of the gameplay, in terms of like how it was received, I think if this was just Ninja Theory's Rudy Emo Man, people would say like, "Oh, the story sucked, but the gameplay was actually pretty good." going toe to toe with itself, with its own franchise, with Devil May Cry, this really does kind of pale in comparison in terms of like what they were going for. Like, I am willing to give like this a shot on its own merit as being like a different studio's take on that formula. I just think this doesn't stand up to DMC 3 and DMC 4 in terms of how it plays. That's not to say I don't like it. I do still enjoy playing this, but being tied to Devil May Cry adds a lot of baggage, adds a lot of expectation, and I don't think, like, I can give the game the benefit of the doubt. I can still enjoy playing it, but you really cannot separate it when it's right there. And I think that plays like really heavily also into the story. Again, y'all have talked about it, but the story between DMC and Devil May Cry is also night and day in terms of like the tone they've gone with and how mature it is, or the lack of maturity this one has in particular. So it's weird because like I am the, like, to get to the point, I am the enjoyer of this game. I do like this one. I don't think it's a purely like a good game. I think it is an enjoyable game, but I think it's a game
almost like
that
you like
has,
it in spite of itself.
Yes, I think it's a game that has a lot of flaws. I think it is a game that you can have fun playing, but it is still flawed in some major mechanical ways that, you know, there's a remastered edition, there's a definitive edition, that's fine. That's not the version we're playing. We're looking at it as it was released.
Yeah.
And the attachment to Devil May Cry, I think, definitely hurts it, because you really can't mechanically separate the two. You have to kind of take it in the context of this is still a Devil May Cry game. And
it doesn't help. The game also like constantly makes little Easter egg nods and references to the series. Like all the challenges are Devil May Cry references. That pose where he kills the first boss, that's the pose from the cover art of Devil May Cry 3. So even though it's trying to differentiate itself, it's constantly referencing and saying like, look, we're Devil May Cry, we're still Devil May Cry, this is Devil May Cry. So yeah,
all the achievement names being references to quotes from previous Devil May Cry games.
So yeah, I think it's a flawed, but so far I think it's flawed. I think it's enjoyable, but I think it is being crushed under the weight of its legacy, of the legacy it is trying to build upon. And I think that is like ultimately hurting the game in like multiple ways.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
A good note to leave off on for this first
As
episode.
I say, I think this game is bad in context.
Yes,
is the way I always put it.
So, with all of that being said, let me go ahead and tell y'all, folks, thanks for joining us tonight for another episode of Back Game Hall of Fame, the first episode of DmC Devil May Cry. We hope you'll join us for our next episode, in which we continue to bellyache about gameplay, minutia, and mostly the story. But before we get to that, we need to get through the rest of our upcoming week. So our schedule is on Saturday. No, what's today? It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Sorry.
Thursday, January 22nd, we will begin our playthrough of Danger Girl for the PlayStation 1. We just recently ran Barbie Explorer as part of a poll where we ran Tomb Raider clones against one another. We didn't expect Barbie to end in one episode, or we didn't fully... we wanted to go with the runner-up for that as well, just to please the folk who may have voted for Danger Girl. So we'll begin that playthrough. That should be more than one episode. Should go on for a week or two, possibly. Saturday, January 24th, Cursed Kart Racers Episode 22, our continuing and hopefully soon concluding series playing every kart racer game. Every kart racer game. This is our last catch-up episode, wherein we cover games that we missed, since we're doing it in mostly chronological order. There's a few games we missed along the way, so we're recovering those before we get to the final episode, and could not come any fucking sooner. That series has been an albatross around our neck for too long, Monday, January 26th, you can join us for a Casual Monday, the 40th episode of Casual Monday, our weekly playing not so bad games, shooting the shit show where we relax a little, unwind a bit, and don't necessarily burden ourselves with the bad games. Always a fun show to tune into, in my opinion. And then you can join us on Tuesday, January 27th, for the second episode of this, our playthrough of DmC Devil May Cry. I will say in advance that on Tuesday, February 3rd, what would be the third episode of this will be instead the celebration of 10 years of Bad Game Hall of Fame. And this is, I want to start promoting that now, that we got our 10-year anniversary coming up of the BadGameHallOfFame.com website and brand. Even though we've only been doing this streaming thing really seriously for like 2.5 years, there is a lot of history behind this this website, this channel and whatnot. So we do want to take the opportunity to celebrate that 10-year anniversary in style. So we'll have to take a week off of DmC at that point, but we will return. We will obviously continue the coming Tuesday after that. So that's just a quick look at the stream schedule. And hey, folks, if you like what you saw here tonight, you might consider joining our Discord server, discord.gg/bghof, a community of connoisseurs, talk bad games, good games, every game in between, things that aren't video games. Join our Bad Game Club, where every month we pick out a new bad game for folk in the community to play and commiserate over. This month, it has been Habitrail Hamster Ball for the PlayStation 2, which has led to people playing a number of other games associated with it, being a data design interactive game, I believe.
Yep.
Is that correct?
It's on interactive, Phoenix game published.
Which means that they, of course, recycled that game a dozen times over, reskinned it for different properties, including an American Tail game. It's much the same thing. So people have been going down that rabbit hole, that hamster hole, if you will.
Hamster hole, yes.
and suffering together. And, you know, at the end of the month, we will have a new game for the Bad Game Club. So just a fun little community thing we do, another impetus to join potentially. And hey, if you really like what you saw here tonight, you might consider supporting the show, pledging on Patreon, subscribing on Twitch, becoming a member on YouTube. Any or all of the above will grant you access on that Discord server, aforementioned, to a Patreon Saints channel wherein you can vote in polls to help determine our playthroughs, make suggestions to help steer the direction of the show, gain access to exclusive content in the way of VODs and so forth, and just be appreciated and thanked by us. Know that we see you and thank you for helping keep the lights on here at the Bad Game Hall of Fame Enterprises at all. But hey, if you are unable to financially support us at this time, we completely understand. Believe you me, we understand. If you're looking for a free way to help support the show, YouTube's always a good way to go. We got this channel, and we got a playlist on said channel that is our suggested viewing playlist. It is 20 handpicked episodes that we think make for some of the best onboarding onto this here show of ours. So we would consider, or you might consider, looking at that playlist, finding episodes that jump out to you, and maybe sharing them with friends, sharing them with folk you know who you think might go for a 3-hour plus show about bad, maligned video games at all. And it would certainly help us out to help spread the word. Or maybe you know someone who's a big fan of DmC Devil May Cry. They're out there. They show up in our comments all the goddamn time. They will inevitably show up in the comments for this upload on YouTube at all. So, you know, share it with them and you know, give them an opportunity to see that history laid bare in this first episode, to hear our arguments articulated as we go through the game. You know, maybe if you've been looking for a way to break them out of that spell of being slavishly devoted to this game, maybe this playthrough will be the thing that cures them at some point. We leave it to your discretion, dear viewers. Those are all our plugs.
Yeah. You want to look for a raid?
I sure do. And by look for a raid, I know what I want to send folk to. I'm going to recommend just generally that something that is happening right now is Mega64 has returned Rocco to the room. If you go to Mega64 Podcast over on Twitch, you will see a man made to suffer locked in a room for however many days. But I don't think they need the raid. I don't think they need the viewers. They're doing just fine for themselves right now. So I will instead send folk the way of one Hexy Maniac, who is at this moment in time streaming 007 Tomorrow Never Dies for the PlayStation 1.
Yeah, I've been
which
watching
is
some of that. Yeah.
a piece of shit. In the beginning of the Black Ops Entertainment story, the John Body story, a story that we are still in the process somewhat of telling across multiple games that man has worked on, including the likes of Demolition Man and 3DO. Most famously, A Fugitive Hunter War on Terror, which we've played through as well on this channel. So take it back to Tomorrow Never Dies, see how that game shaped up under his creative direction, and let Hexymaniac know that the Bad Game Hall of Fame sent you, why don't you?
So we hope you'll join us again for our next episode. But for now, I've been Savage Charky.
I've been a rebel without a cause, Johnny Baghead.
I've been Combi Cassidy.
Thanks all for watching, and good night, everybody.
Toodles!
See ya, you son of a bitch.